You seem to know the answers to your questions. Why do you ask?
I'm sorry you're unwilling to defend your beliefs in any kind of rational way.
Oh, if you already know the answers to your questions, then why ask? Pig fuck! We are not helpless. And we are on a journey that risks the dark. If you don't mind, a good night to you.
Out in Radioland, what up?
What's up, everybody?
The crackers.
What's a good
We're not talking to anybody.
We're not talking to anybody? What?
That's not true.
We're
Not
talking
right
to
now.
We're talking to each other.
I know, but then we
Oh,
say
not
what's
right
up,
now.
everybody.
What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking.
To
It's the
future
audience, dude.
Yeah, it's the future audience that will hear this, hours later.
Anyway, this is one of our favorite type of episode, which is an episode where we don't have to read any fucking books for it.
Yeah.
God, do I hate that shit, dude.
Or do any preparations. Don't have to take any notes really.
Which sucks because I thought we were reading Moby Dick, so I read the entire thing today.
Yeah. Paul was like very on point, way ahead of schedule, very good, and we're like,
For the first time ever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Paul read
Woke up, I was like, Moby Dick, I got to read it all day.
you squeezed in a Melville biography or two.
Yeah.
You visited his like hometown.
Yeah. Well, those will come in handy in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Time
Anyway,
not wasted.
what this is today, everybody, this is the Spine Crackers podcast 1 year anniversary blowout party.
Extravaganza.
I got one
Finale.
I got one
It's the
thing to
last
say about that.
Oh,
That was ASMR beer opening.
that was a very nice crack.
Yeah, it didn't start out strong. It was kind of like tiny, and then the
It was too
crack
far away.
came.
It was really far away
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I started. I meant to get it closer. I don't know
Well,
my
I'm
own
sure you'll-
strength.
We'll
I
have
know.
better chances when you crack open the next Coors.
Yeah. I want to say that shout outs to tonight's sponsor, Coors, the banquet beer. Just kidding, not actually the sponsor of the show. But
Maybe
I'm
PBR.
sponsored.
I am drinking Coors in protest of another company who shall go unnamed.
Whoops,
who
sorry.
Refuses to sponsor the show despite us being a perfect match. Matt already said it. Cough, cough, PBR, cough, cough.
Yeah.
Didn't they
Despite-
write back to you and they were like, no, thank you or something?
No,
Did
that
I
didn't
dream
happen.
that?
They
You
didn't
dreamed
even
that.
dreamed it.
deign to speak.
They've liked a few of my comments, but
Are you angling for the lifetime supply or...
not even a lifetime supply. I would take. People don't understand this. You are allowed to sponsor this podcast for basically nothing. Like I would announce.
That's true. We're cheap. We're cheap
very
Yeah,
dates.
we are.
We're very cheap dates. I would basically include PBR in a list of podcast sponsors in perpetuity for like a coupon for like 3 12 packs
Yeah, or just one tall boy.
Per host.
per host.
May
per
I
host.
say
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes? Yeah.
No, not a tall boy. 12 packs. 12 packs of tall boys, ideally. Yeah.
See, now you're not selling yourself short.
But
You're
I'm
selling
telling
yourself tall.
I'm telling.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh God.
All cylinders today, boys. All cylinders today for me, for
So,
sure.
any sponsors out there? Listen, we've shown we have staying power. We've been at this for a year, produced hundreds of hours of content at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
people love it. We're dedicated to the craft.
Arguably.
We're dedicated to the craft. If you exclude things like thoughtful editing or putting effort into our YouTube videos or
Audio quality at
audio
all,
quality,
noises.
sort of component. Yeah,
not being drunk,
not burping, not having dogs barf.
Dog
Yeah.
barf ASMR.
or us barfing potentially.
Right.
I don't think any
That's
of
the
us have
thing,
actually
is, like-
barfed on the show, but
no.
So
so if you
we
put
don't
aside
have any
all of
content.
that stuff, consummate professionals, worth your investment.
Also, on the flip side, there's an audience for all the stuff that would be considered a detriment. You know, so you can't deny.
Does Pepto-Bismol want to sponsor us?
Yeah, what would like a book nerd?
That would
people-
be great.
Yeah, what would they like to be sponsored by?
Like Bic pens.
Bic pens,
I don't
Keeps,
know. Yeah.
whatever.
Keeps. Yeah, I'm trying to think what would be what else. Yeah, those would all be good. Hit us up. We are very bad negotiators and we start off cheap. So come on in, sponsors.
Yeah, that's right.
How about like a bookmark company? Just give us a lifetime
Like what?
supply, which could be one bookmark actually. If you think about it.
That's easier than PBR.
I want one steel bookmark.
Yeah.
We could do like the Ridge
Lead.
wallet of bookmarks. Like
We
have
could
it
even
be
just
like burnt
yes.
titanium or like Damascus.
Jewel can sponsor this show.
Oh, true
that
that.
would be
Actually,
epic.
that would actually be very legit.
It's
I
le-
think.
Well,
It's
if we had our
Jewel.
recording, if we had our videos on YouTube, like all of them, then Jewel would be like, "Fuck yeah, these guys."
Yeah, if
fucking
you could
cool."
visually see what goes on when we're recording,
Which is nothing because of how fat the clouds being blown are on the screens.
Exactly, it's a constant haze.
Yeah.
It's
Like
yeah,
yeah.
it's like a Halloween haunted
screens.
house in our fucking rooms. What we should do is we should get Jewel to send us like 4 foot tall jewels that constantly just send out jewel smoke. No, this is a fucking jewel.
now we're fucking talking, dude.
Yeah,
Just
I
a
would have it
fucking
right,
Jewel
two of them
smog
right behind
machine.
me.
The train whistle blowing jewel smoke out of it as it delivers jewel.
Oh my god.
And if you don't do it, don't jolt us at the altar. You know what I mean? Like follow through.
Don't make us your jolted lovers.
Yeah. Because we'll go crazy.
That's right. We'll freak out. Yeah.
Yeah. Paul's like the guild navigator in Dune by David Lynch. Just this alien that like emerges out of a haze. It's just high. Just high on spice.
Oh god.
I'm gonna
Speaking-
start pretending that my jewel smoke is the spice from Dune.
Yeah.
Do you
it's
guys
the
have
spice
any?
melange.
Since we don't really have anything specific to talk about, do you guys have any Dune takes?
Dune.
Right,
good.
I forgot
like
this
Dune.
is rudderless.
Yeah, no, it's not rudderless. We're gonna take some listener Q and A.
Yeah,
Yes.
do we even
In-
announce what we're saying yet? Well, we're gonna
Yeah,
do
in case
that? We're
people
gonna-
were wondering the content, like
yes,
it will predominantly be a Q&A from
yes. We solicited questions on the various social media platforms, and we got a bunch. Very thoughtful, very interesting questions from our lovely, intelligent listeners. And we're going to go through, I think we have like 25 or something that we're going to go through. And
That'll do us.
That'll be that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
We'll take 1 hour per question.
yeah, it's going to be like, we're going to be here until fucking 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. If the Capote episode of 8 short stories is any indication.
How long was that?
Yeah.
Matt, you're the one putting it together. I forgot. I don't know how long it is.
I'll have it stitched together tomorrow.
That's fine.
It wasn't a 4
rush,
hour.
but- No,
it wasn't
no,
4 hours.
But I think
long.
it was over 3.
Okay.
Damn.
Well, that's not awful.
I know, but
That's long.
we should I mean, yeah, like
We should have just picked like 2 or like 4 or 5 of that.
that.
But speaking of 3 hours, that's something that you can fit the first Dune book into easily, and I refuse to believe otherwise.
Oh, okay. So you think the movie should?
Is the movie over 3 hours?
It's 2.5.
Yeah, and it's half.
Oh.
It's 2.5, and it's half a book.
Oh, so you think the whole book could have been? I get it. I see what you're saying.
I think you could make a 3-hour movie that is like, you know, you're not.
I
I don't.
disagree.
Why?
I'm not. I was just wanting to burp and say that. No, I don't know. I didn't think it was like a fucking amazing, perfect movie, but I don't know. I like all the content that he wanted to give a half of a book, and he's a Villeneuve.
Dennis Villanueva.
Yeah.
Villeneuve.
Villeneuve. He's a huge Dune fan, and I kind of appreciated just this, like, you know, multi-millionaire guy who's just like, I love Dune, I'm gonna make 2 long-ass Dune movies. 'Cause
Yeah,
I love
he's
it. I don't know.
I could not contain my love for Dune in one movie, and there must be 2. It must be Dune. It must be 2 Dunes.
It must be Dune.
I need 2 Dunes, please.
After this, you will call me Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, definitely.
Jesus.
Dune-y.
That actually
Dune-y.
gets to Paul. That actually just gets to one of the questions we're gonna have to ask later about you.
Oh, yeah. You want to go for it right now?
No. We don't have to do it right now. I mean, well, I think before we get to the questions, do y'all have any reflections, thoughts on 1 year of the Spine Crackers podcast? Did we think we would make it this far?
I like all I'm seeing in my mind's eye is like the Friends reunion on HBO. Like, just
When I have,
weather-beaten, like fucked up people like crying about a show from the 90s.
Except we're
Yeah.
still active, baby. We're still around. We're still kicking.
We
We're
still have-
alive.
We don't have dentures yet.
This is the first of this is the first of many anniversary
Perry.
episodes.
Matthew Perry was just like, I just miss you guys so much. Like,
Yeah.
he just couldn't talk. I felt so bad for him. I felt really bad for him.
Yeah.
He was lost. He's
He's a lost soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor guy. Come on the podcast.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
I don't know what
What
kind
a
of books
get.
Matthew Perry reads.
Oh, okay. So reflections on the
Self-help.
last year. Did we think we could get here? I mean, I have struggled for sure. Like, it's been a fucking struggle to read a book a week
Yeah.
after week. Even though we've had a break. Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of myself though. We probably how many books have we read then
I mean,
in the last year? Like,
probably not exactly 52 or no. Well,
not even close.
no. What episode are we on? Like 40? Because we did take that like 2-month break basically.
Yeah. We had summer
look.
vacation basically.
They're not numbered even on the list that I have, so I don't know off the top of my head. Oh, let me just check how many episodes. I can do that.
Yeah. But it's been I don't know. It's felt like a prolonged hell week, in some ways. Like, some of the
For
books
this?
have been very. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
been.
yeah.
Some of the books have been like a fucking real struggle to get through in a week for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also. I mean, that's the most negative aspect that I've felt. Obviously, I've loved doing a podcast with my fucking bros too.
and that's
been
really
fucking
what it's
fun.
about.
That's what it's all about. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
I might cry this episode.
It's really about just, you know,
I can't,
Talking about something with
cannot
your
figure
friends.
out how many episodes we
Yeah.
have because we don't number them. So
It's
44.
44. Okay.
Yeah, there it is. Thanks, Apple Podcasts.
Not including the ones we did before that don't count, but
Yes.
still, I'm going to count them right now.
I mean, those don't count because they weren't episodes. It was just us
It was
talking.
just a regular ass book club. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely been, yeah. I mean, for me, it's a huge joy. I dead ass, sincere posting. Look forward to talking to you guys every week, about books and in this context. It makes me very happy.
Yeah.
I should have led with that because I agree. I feel the same way.
Like, it's hell, and it's been a really
It's hell
huge
week,
struggle
like
with
the
me.
fucking
yeah.
Navy SEALs for me. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like homework meets the military.
I'm in the Atlantic Ocean at 6 a.m. in the morning, holding a log over my
Yeah.
head.
and that cold ocean water is Joseph McElroy's prose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can't lift 30 pages, can you, maggot?
That would be a fucking sick hell week. Like, make the Navy SEALs just read Joseph McElroy's entire fucking books in a week.
know if it's Cannonball, even potentially reconsider their choice.
You can't read a sentence with 20 different clauses that covers 8 different tenses
Can
in
you?
the same sentence, can you? Can you?
Now drop and read me 20.
But I mean, yeah,
It's a read.
there's definitely hard parts, but I mean, even like that's the other thing is that I mean, even when like I don't know, we can always, we've pushed books around or switched them, and we're flexible that way, and so I think that helps in terms of having no one to be accountable to.
Well, I also think that I think like I mentioned this I think before in the other sort of rambly just vibe check episode that we did, where it's like reading. I already do read like for pleasure, like consistently,
Right.
and so I've always considered myself like a reader and fucking hashtag bookish and all the horrible designations you can give yourself. But like, this has definitely upped the pace, but also like, it's hugely different to like talk to anybody about it because it's so
Yes,
often considered
yes.
just this like kind of like solitary shit. And like and I agree like with Gabe, I'm just like, it's so nice to have the outlet of voicing literally anything to like a third party, like
Yes.
you know what I mean, like instead of just sitting with it only and then just reading something else and just kind of like being completely internal.
Well, and I think it like I think it just enhances, for me, it enhances both understanding and appreciation like so much to have those conversations and bounce ideas off of each other. And like, you guys all, I mean, every week I think we bring different shit to the table in terms of like background knowledge of the author, or like Paul will watch some interviews with the author that I don't watch, or Matt will read an article about them that I haven't read, or I'll read an academic paper, or like whatever it is each week, and so we all like bring that, and it's just like it's cliche, I guess, but it's just kind of that like extended mind thing where it all we all are doing more work than any one of us could do individually, and that becomes distilled through the conversation.
I think that's like, but that's literally true, and like one of the more important aspects of like ongoing learning that like people
100%.
need to like people
Yeah.
should emphasize more, and it's tough.
Well, it adds to the longevity of the memory of the book too for me too. Like if I plow through a book, or when I used to like read a book and just maybe not enjoy it that much, I would kind of let the ideas go one ear and out the other, and not explore them if I didn't like them or whatever. But when you're talking about, even if you don't like the book and you have to talk about it, you end up just like getting something out of it, and you remember those conversations.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
I'm sure if we went down the list, I'd be able to remember quite a bit about our conversations about each and every one of them, which is sick.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, and even just like because of the way we do our choices, which is, if you don't know, is basically just everyone picks a book and we rotate through the three of us, and we don't plan it or anything. We don't like structure it really. And that I think creates just like a huge breadth of just different shit that I think a lot of us individually would have just probably never read on our own, never found, never heard of, or just never picked up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have
It's all-
touched
I mean-
this shit usually.
Like I haven't been like how Matt has always been. He's just like, Matt, how many books do you think you've read prior to this last year?
Just in your life.
No. I mean, I'm not total. I mean, like per year. Would you say?
I would probably cut the whatever number we have to I don't know, maybe like 15 a year or something like that. 20, something like that.
Okay.
So
depending.
it's like over double then.
So we've
what we've
literally
done.
doubled.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I was more like 4. Before
Yeah.
this.
Well,
I've always
I'm-
worked jobs that like have killed me, and reading has always been not a priority. But even though I've enjoyed it, so like this podcast has been like, well, you fucking have to, and you're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. And you're going to like it.
If you know what's good for you.
Like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, it's like if before we started doing this, you know, and I talked about this. I want to talk a little bit on the other vibe check episode, but for me, in my recent life, before we started doing this, the number of fiction books that I read in a year was basically zero for like the last 5 years before this, because, you know, I was in academia and most of my reading was devoted to, you know, nonfiction shit for my studies and whatever. Excuse me. And I still read nonfiction, but this has like reinvigorated my love for fiction in a really powerful way that I'm deeply appreciative of.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like you and Paul have very different reasons for not having read a ton. Like Paul, I just feel like I don't know, it's just like wasn't like on your like priority list, and like you're doing more like labor, like physical labor intensive stuff or whatever, and you're just kind of like trying to make ends meet and blah blah blah, and so it's just like not a thing. And then Gabe, you're not reading fiction for the reason of reading just way too much other stuff. So it's just like a glut of reading, and so reading's the last thing you want to fucking do. And like if you're going to do it, it's like gonna have to be academic in nature.
I mean, I don't want to say it's all utility reading, but because I do enjoy reading academic writing and that's why I do the job I do. I love it, but it like I said, it did tend to be. I didn't view reading fiction as a like break or release from just the more reading that I have to do for my work.
Right, yeah.
And so I never did really much of it.
Yeah.
I just think both cases like probably resonate with a large number of people. 'Cause I feel like that captures like two very relatable experiences around the reason for not reading
when
books.
I talk to people about, you know, and I mentioned that we do the podcast and I read a book a week or whatever, just to like, you know, friends or people I just meet, they're always just like, oh, I like love reading or I miss reading, but like whatever my job is, I haven't had time to do it in years or whatever. And I'm like, now I realize that that's not true. It's just like you take, there's priorities that you take. So if you do want to read a book, you fucking can. It's just like most people, like how I did in the past, I just like wanted to watch Grey's Anatomy instead for 4 hours a night after working a long ass day.
Yes, absolutely.
But reading's important. You got to put down that Netflix remote, pick up a book,
and being able to find the enjoyment in it again. Yeah, no, that's fucking true. Put down, literally, like you know what's happening in the office. You know what's going to happen. You already
watched
know.
You've watched it all.
It's
18 times.
And listen, don't get me wrong. I have my comfort shows that I put on when I'm hungover and eating Chinese food, and I just want something on. But all emotional resonance. I'm talking to you specifically, listener. The Office has no emotional resonance for you anymore. You know what's happening. It's a security blanket in a bad way. Stop it.
Yeah, drop it. There's too many seasons. It didn't even end well.
No.
So yeah, I mean, should we get into some questions?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Or did you have anything else or is that it? That was it.
Nothing specifically. I mean, I just kind of wanted to say, for me, I just want to say how much I love doing this and how much fun it is and what a positive force it has been in my life. Sincerely.
Definitely.
Yeah. And for anyone listening, and like, you know, if we can grow this and like people want to interact with us and stuff, that I can almost guarantee will make it even more of a positive thing.
I already, this is going to sound like a plug, but it's not. But I love just like talking to the people that are in our Discord channel already, the patrons, all like meeting all of the guests we've had on the show has been fucking fantastic. And we're going to have more in the future.
Oh yeah.
It's been great. It's just been really great. So subscribe to the Patreon
I did want to say,
you want. Patreon, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, do all that stuff. If you subscribe to the Patreon for only $2 a month, you get full Discord access, $5 a month and up, bonus reviews, I'm reading Infinite Jest, etc.
I know we're transitioning, but I forgot one thing I wanted to mention that I'm not sure I mentioned on the first Freeform episode or not, but I had anxiety about starting the podcast because I just don't like talking in front of people, and that translates to talking on a microphone. And I think I've gotten slightly better, maybe not perfectly. Definitely not. I mean, you just heard that sentence. But, you know, Gabe is like a teacher. Gabe and teaches over Zoom and has been, you know, Gabe's very comfortable at talking.
Gabe's a lecturer. Like,
Yeah,
I
he's a
feel like
lecturer.
that's definitely noticeable.
Yeah, totally. So, but I've always, you know, when I was in college and shit, you know, when I had a presentation, it would make me so fucking nervous for like 2 weeks. I would dread it. I would be like, maybe I should drop this class, you know, that level of anxiety.
Yeah, a lot of people have that.
Yeah, I've always had it. I remember just like stuttering and panicking as a freshman in college for like my first one ever, and just like sweating, and I'm like, everyone thinks I'm a fucking loser.
Oh yeah, the move where you're trying to not, if you have to hold a piece of paper, keep your hands steady.
Oh God, yeah.
Yes.
I'd always like
move.
pray for a podium, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's one really positive thing for me actually, is just like, because you know, it's a valuable life skill, just be able to like communicate your thoughts towards any audience, even like a small one to a big one. You know, it's just like important.
Yeah.
So
that's a really good point.
I definitely value that aspect of it too. Just like trying to get better at it over time.
Yeah, you can't just you know, this is definitely a case of like, you can't just be like, I liked it or I didn't, you know.
Right.
Oh,
you do have to
not.
formulate your thoughts to some degree, and yeah, I also think that like it's helped me think in like complete sentences more and like actually try and like, yeah, I'm whatever, I'm not very good, but you know, I have to formulate arguments about why I think what I think.
Yeah, it's a dementia. It's a suppressor a little bit because
yeah, one of my greatest fears.
Yes, definitely.
It's
yeah,
like,
what's your greatest? Hey guys, what's your greatest fears?
That's a good question.
We should save that for when we're drunk on the end of the year episode.
Oh, okay, never mind.
No,
Spiders.
We can't. If you want to talk about our greatest fears, we can.
Arachnids. Well, I guess one of mine was degenerative brain disease.
Yeah.
Oh, like
No, that's
real
that's a
fears?
legit
Real
one.
fears are like fake ones? Because mine is probably like being at the bottom of the ocean alone, alive forever.
I hate open water.
Forever?
I hate
Forever? Yeah.
I hate dark open water.
Oh, so you're like a fantasy fear almost.
Well, I asked
Like
if you
you've been
meant like
cursed
a
by
real
God.
fear. Yeah, like that's my personal hell, I would say. Just like freezing, not being able to breathe, and just underwater.
But you don't die ever?
No.
Like what, Perseus or no, Prometheus? He gets his
Prometheus chained to the rock.
Yeah, he gets his liver eaten by a fucking crow every minute of the day.
Yes.
Sort of like the heavy-handed nature of the lighthouse ending.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're admitting it now.
That end in particular, very heavy-handed,
Yes.
yeah. But I
Yeah,
do still
bad
like
movie.
that movie.
Okay.
No, not
That's
bad movie.
It's bad.
Maybe
It's
ending.
a
No,
bad
maybe
ending.
a bad ending, maybe a
Well, it's a bad
ending,
movie,
maybe
bad ending.
but it was a pretty good movie.
And it kind of encapsulates the thesis of the movie, and the whole movie is sort of like, sort of filled with that kind of bad ending.
Paul, here's what I got to say.
I would
about
have to disagree with your assessment of the movie, but I really liked it. And
I think aside
respect
from
your
some sort of
opinion.
like very superficial aesthetics, it's really a piece of
Okay,
shit.
that was nice. That was like a high school.
starting to-
That was like a high school debate.
I started to do some Destiny,
Oh my God, Destiny, come on the show, buddy.
just fucking nerd fast talking.
Actually, don't come on. I have no interest in hearing
Yeah,
Destiny's
don't-
takes on any art at all.
Destiny, why don't you fuck off?
Except, I guess, music. I know he's a trained musician.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think he went to school for music. Anyway,
Well, Destiny, please write a sonata instead of playing League of Legends.
this is now a drama channel.
I'll call out anybody.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. We have no shame.
What is it called? Gish galloping or whatever?
I don't
what the
know.
All right, sorry.
Here's what I
didn't
wanna say about The
reveal that I knew
Lighthouse,
that about
Paul.
Twitch.
Here's what I
come
want to say
on,
about
what?
The Lighthouse.
What?
Real quick.
It's a great film. Fun.
I didn't like the movie, but I gotta hand it to the director for making a great
Making
film.
a great film. I have to say, this wasn't a good movie, but I have to hand it to the director for making a great film. Well, okay, I understand.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand
If I
your
wanted to
opinion.
think about that in a too complicated way, I could almost agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, exactly, right?
yeah.
It's stupidly funny. Shout out Tim Heidecker. You can really come on the show at any time. Open door.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim Heidecker, sort of under the radar.
Very
Low-
underground.
low-key guy.
Yeah, low key. Yeah. All right,
I'm gonna
let's
grab
I'm
one
trying to
more-
get Vic Berger on.
Oh, that'd be
Vic
funny.
might come on.
You think?
He's I don't
Maybe
know.
I don't know.
Matt, you're gonna
He's
go
not
get a
like
drink.
that, you know.
I'm gonna just get one more re-up so I don't have to move after this.
Sounds good. And then
we'll
go
get
after
the
you.
cues
get
started.
into it. Some cues, baby. Yeah, I think I don't know. I'd love to. Here's a behind the scenes story. I've just been my strategy. You know this about me, Paul. My strategy is to just message random, very famous celebrities and see if they want to come on the show.
Sasha Grey.
I
mentioned
I sent Sasha Grey an email, but it got bounced back to me. So anyone out there is trying to email Sasha Grey, the email on her Instagram doesn't work. And Sasha, if you're listening, the email on your Instagram doesn't work. And I tried to email you and it got bounced back. So, and I did send you an Instagram DM. I'm not creeping. Sasha Grey is not the only person that I've tried to get on the
you
show.
kind of talked a lot about messaging Sasha Grey.
Yeah,
But no,
a porn
okay,
star, so
here's
it's
what-
like-
no. Here's why. No,
Loose.
it makes sense, dude. She wrote books. She's written books,
no, it's true.
and I just thought it'd be funny. I don't necessarily want to interview her or anything. Just literally, just a 5-minute introduction, whatever. And then who else have I messaged? I've messaged Reese Witherspoon because she has the Reese Witherspoon book club, and let's see
We
who
should
else.
Oprah. We should get Oprah.
Just straight up Oprah.
Yeah.
I have not messaged Oprah. There's a
I've
few other
messaged
people.
Trump.
David Duchovny, obviously, because we're going to review his book eventually.
Yeah, and he
let's see.
he definitely is like at the point in his life where he wants to be regarded as an author.
Exactly. And what better venue to solidify that reputation than this show?
Yeah, none.
Oh, I messaged Halsey because she released a book of poetry.
Halsey.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. So I'm
That's
out
a
here.
very
But
famous person.
my philosophy is, and I don't think we've talked about this on the show, but my philosophy is like, look, dude, it only takes one like slightly tipsy PR person to read that email and be like, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. Let's do it.
That's 100% true. I
And
mean, I've heard
like-
wild shit.
You just never know. So my philosophy is just fucking spray and pray, as it were, to
Right.
take a first person shooter term.
Right. Shotgun noob tube.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Yeah. Just go.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm very professional in all my emails and messages, and I make the case based on their specific context why it might be a good fit and blah 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 blah. I'm not just like, hey, you want to come on our show? I'm not an idiot.
No, we sell it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if anyone out there has any good ideas for people that should come on the show or who might come on the show, yeah, hit us up. Because I love having guests.
Guests are really fun, man.
Yeah, yeah. So
And I just love meeting random people
yeah,
and just getting into the weeds about just a weird book, you know? This is the point. It's like, this shit is fun.
oh, Brie
And, like-
Larson. I messaged Brie Larson too.
Oh, yeah? Is she notably
Yeah, she like
reading?
she's a reader. She posts stuff about books.
I'll try and think of celebrities to message randomly.
Let's message The Weeknd.
That would be sick. I would
Or
totally do
Bernie
that.
Mac would be good.
Bernie Mac. Wait, is he
He's,
alive?
dead.
He's
He's
not
dead.
alive.
Sorry, that was another On Cinema reference.
Oh. Oh, that's funny.
I'm trying to think of who like is like trying to like because like who's like rebranding as like secret like actually smart.
That's the thing, dude. Well, we shouldn't say this on stream because then on the show, because then they're going to listen to it and then they're going to be like, well, they're only doing it because they think I'm dumb and just rebranding is smart, which is not true.
No, that's not true. What I'm saying is rebranding is actually smart because of public perception, which I do not believe.
Because they actually are smart and they want people
Because
to
they
know it.
are and they want to shift.
Exactly. I mean, I think a
Yeah.
lot of a lot of celebrities are trying, like, want to do that. Like, we should, like, James Franco. We should get James Franco on the show.
Isn't he canceled though?
Is he canceled? Oh yeah, he's
Yeah,
canceled.
he's canceled.
Never
Yeah.
mind. That was bad.
We got to pay attention to that shit.
But someone like that, you know what I mean? Someone who I feel like
Someone canceled. Yeah.
Not Jesus. Yeah, no, I'm digging myself a hole here.
Yeah.
Maybe we should invite Viggo Mortensen on and send him the book list, and it's just The Hobbit, Silmarillion.
And then the road at the very end, the only other book adaptation needed. Yeah. Like you do movie books. You do sort of like moving books.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Viggo?
I mean, really, if you think about it, all actors are writers because movies are just moving books.
That's right.
That is
That's what
true.
I've always said.
A lot of people are saying it.
They're moving picture books.
All right, let's take some questions here.
All right,
I'm
finally.
excited.
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
fucking pumped up.
First
Fire
of
'em
all, shout outs to everyone that asked a question. Shout outs to everyone that's ever listened to an episode of this show, honestly. You guys
Hell
are
yeah.
fucking sick and we love
You're
you.
special.
Yeah.
If you ever
cool
made it to
and
the end too, like
we're
double
in love with
sick.
you.
I
And if
assume
you-
most have not, but
Yeah, probably not. But if
One
you've
of the-
ever fucking clicked an episode of this show to listen, you're epic.
You're a god.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
golden
So,
God.
these are not organized in any way by topic or anything like that, so we may bounce around a little bit subject matter wise, but they all have to do with books and writing and that kind of thing. So, first of all, I want to get this out of the way. We did have a particularly precocious listener, Thelonious Drunk Books on Instagram, who sent us like 15 different questions, which we deeply appreciate because they were all really thoughtful, all really thought-provoking and interesting. So what I'm going to do is, I don't want to say Thelonious Drunk Books over and over again every time I say his question, so I'm just going to call him TDB when it's one of his questions.
And this is basically Thelonious' show, and you're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. This one goes out to you, Thelonious.
We did a special show just for you.
You're basically a co-host of this episode.
Yeah.
So this is a TDB question, and I think this is a good place to start. It might take us an hour and a half to answer, but here we go. What for each of you makes a good book? Prose, memorability, thought-provoking ideas, uniqueness, all of the above. Go off.
Who's not first?
Oh no, me
Wait,
then?
you say
I'll
dibs,
go
not
first. I'll go first. Can you ask the question again and ask
Can
it
you
in
phrase it as a
sentence?
question?
I can phrase it as a question. It was, to be fair, it was already phrased as a question very clearly.
That's a joke. It was a joke.
But what for each of you makes a good book? And then he gives some examples of considerations: prose, memorability, thought-provoking ideas, uniqueness, all of the above, etc.
It's got to be all of the above, right?
It does have to. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But the more fun thing to do is kind of try to rank aspects of a good book. Like what's the thing for you that tends to stick out, I guess, or make something particular where you're like, yeah, that was fucking good.
I mean, for me, obviously, you can probably guess out of all the things, prose style is my number one. I mean, it can, it doesn't mean the book's I'm gonna love it, but I need that. I need to really vibe with the style and respect it and whatever to really enjoy it. Like I can't really usually get past that, but if it has the other things, it makes it better and better. But I need to really enjoy it and respect it and value it as good writing. It doesn't necessarily mean it's like has to fit a category of like this means what good writing is. It can be its own style. It just has to be, I don't know, just has to be like connecting with me.
Yeah.
But I don't think that there's like an objective truth to what good prose style is. I don't think that.
It just has to be. Well, so do you think that could be like an aspect of uniqueness too, right? If you have a unique writing style that also works, that maybe is an even bonus. One notable thing he doesn't mention here in the question is like a good story, right? So that might
Narrative,
be something
yeah.
to throw in the mix too.
Narrative.
Which I feel
or
like
characters or whatever.
I mean, you always talk about characterization and stuff. Like that was the sense I would always get from you. I don't know if you've sort of shifted as we've done the show over the year, but like the kind of almost running gag was like poor characterization, right? Like that was something that was like not appealing to you most of the time. Like you were just like, ugh, like, the story is unclear. These people that are in the story are people that I can't somehow get a grasp on or something like that.
What a fucking dummy thing. And I did harp on that a lot, didn't I?
No,
Which
I don't think it's necessarily
I don't think
stupid.
It's a dummy
I just
thing either. Yeah.
we're talking about a preference, it's like whatever.
Yeah, I think I have maybe shied away from that being like the top to it being more about like the prose style. Like I think I'm less fixated on characterization now actually. No, I think back to like the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, I mean, the medium is language, so good writing is good.
Yeah.
I guess it's like I said, I said all of the above. I didn't mean to just have it be like this like question dodge. It's just more like there's so many things you can be endeavoring to do within a book, which is
Yeah.
kind of why they're amazing, but you do have to like meet things on their own terms a lot of the time, including things like we said before, which is counterintuitive, that you like kind of don't like, but just you can sometimes just respect the fuck out of the attempt or like the idea at
Yeah.
play, even if you thought it was ultimately not for you. So like I think that's one of the things that like makes reading this interesting thing that people often avoid, because it's like hard work.
I guess, yeah. I mean,
And it's like I feel like it's a regard of what is pleasurable and like kind of training yourself into enjoying occasionally like a struggle or like a
Yep.
slog. I don't know if that I got lost in the sauce there a little bit, but yeah.
No, that's good. That's good.
yeah, that was good.
It made me think. Before you go, Gabe,
Yeah,
I want to just reiterate on my point. Like, I think that out of all the authors we've read, Simonon is like, he hits all those markers to me in all the books that we've read by him. He has great characterization, great writing style. But one thing I haven't mentioned yet is he does have a notion of the social and the political, which I think makes a book better. It just does. It doesn't necessarily have to be specific, but if you can tackle and grasp like a feeling or a mood of the time that you're writing in, if that comes through strongly, because it's no matter what artistic medium you work in, I'm not saying that it should, but it adds something to any piece of art for me. So Simonon checks all the boxes for me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. On that last point, I mean, I would argue that all literature and all art in general is political, whether it wants to be or not. That's maybe a spicier, different sort of question, but I agree with you. Having a point of view is important. Not necessarily like, oh, you have to take a view on this or that, like specific political issue. I'm not interested in that. As a matter of fact, I think that usually turns out pretty bad.
Yeah.
But in general, having an orientation, a worldview that comes through in your writing, I think is interesting. Which I guess segues a little bit into my direct answer to this question about what makes a good book, which is like, I'm a sucker for like, ideas and kind of thought-provoking kind of concepts and topics explored. And, I think that can run the gamut from something like Simonon, who I think does a lot of like, from my perspective, like philosophical heavy lifting, very, as you said, Paul, very indirectly. He's not like citing philosophers. It's not like Percival Everett by Virgil Russell that we read a couple weeks ago, which I also loved. I gave that book a 5, first 5 ever given on the show. And but Simonon does that in a much more subtle, which is not necessarily a dig at Percival Everett, obviously, but it's a much more subtle way. And I that can, so like, but then that can run all the way to something like Percival Everett by Virgil Russell, or it can run all the way into like some science fiction text, right? Like I said during the review, I love the concept, and I think Matt, you kind of hinted at this earlier, of altered states by Patty Chayefsky. Like, great ideas, really interesting, but of course, and so even if I prize good ideas and interesting ideas above something like prose or narrative coherence or whatever, if something else like shits the bed bad enough, it can outweigh that consideration. And I think that for me was the case with Altered States, for example.
Yeah. Well, that reminds
Yeah.
me. Just sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say there's probably a ton of great examples that I wish I could like rattle off of just like very rare for me do I ever think of something as like an innately bad idea. Most things just feel like bad executions
That's a
or
good
like
point.
people that can't meet what their abilities can't meet their ambitions.
I mean, I think I would disagree a little bit. I think that there are some. I can even think of some books that we've read for this show that I thought the whole conceit, the idea was bad and or stupid and or harmful. I would say Houellebecq's Submission falls into that category for me, where there's maybe it's conceptually possible to write an interesting book about the Muslim takeover of Europe, but I just don't know what that would look like.
Well, it depends on perspective, right? Like, I mean, we're getting philosophical already.
On question one, baby.
It's all about perspective to me, because I mean, I can think of plenty of movies where I consider it's just like, it's a bad idea for a movie, like Paul Blart Mall Cop. But if I mean,
But it's a
but you
classic.
could take that and make something like probably incredibly interesting. Like what if
Yeah.
Denis Villeneuve fucking made Paul Blart Mall Cop? I mean, I'd watch that, and it'd probably be fucking awesome. It'd probably have like dead mall themes in
Yo,
it, and shit.
100%. Just
And just like
quiet.
sad, fat Philip Seymour Hoffman type guy, or it'd be. I can imagine it'd be fucking sick.
one word a
All right,
minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've both convinced me. Yeah, there's probably no such thing as just a bad idea from the jump that can never be, that no hay can ever be made out of. You're probably right.
Like yeah, like in a vacuum. If you're just like the
Yeah.
conceit is like
Yeah.
Muslim takeover of Europe, it's like there's so many things you could do with that idea.
No, yeah. I think you're probably right.
I did.
Yeah,
maybe
go
we
ahead.
should move on. I was going to say, relating back to Simonon and Percival Everett, even though maybe Percival Everett was more like direct with his criticism socially and like his symbolism, I still think that one thing I appreciate about those two authors and authors that I generally like is they kind of like I've read and listened to interviews with Percival Everett and Simonon, and Simonon's kind of just like, anytime anyone brings up symbolism and is like, what are you trying to do here or say about this character and like this moment, and he's kind of just like pure artist, like, I have a fucking seed in me that grows and I write a book. What the fuck do you want me to say?
He's very cagey about that kind of thing.
Yeah. And Percival Everett isn't cagey, but he's kind of similar and just like, he has like that artist sensibility of just like, I just kind of fucking write what I want, what I'm thinking about and what I'm feeling, and it just comes out that way.
Well,
And
I was gonna say, I think like we were talking about like political art earlier, and you were saying nothing isn't political, but I think one of the problems with statements like that, not a problem, but like how people take it, and we had discussed this a little in like Discord or whatever, is like the bad faith conception of what that means, right? Which is that it's like.
Right.
About Dorito Mussolini Trump, or like fucking, it's like Ronald McDonald with like sitting on an oil barrel with like an AK-47. You know what I mean? Like just like some really like ideologically just ham-fisted, unsubtle crap, which I think I don't know. So you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so
I think
it's
so.
not, that's not what we're saying when we say like that these things permeate everything.
No, not at all. Yes.
no, you can really swing and miss, I think.
All I mean is that books, like, just because that's the type of critter that we are, is that they're written, conceived of, and created in a socio-political, historical, cultural context, that it's like tofu. It soaks in it, and
Right,
and the flavor is in the thing, even if it wasn't intended to be cooked that way or whatever. The analogy is
that's
maybe
a good
not
analogy.
but yeah.
Maybe beef.
Well, I think that's the whole thing about tofu, is that it absorbs whatever flavor it's next to or whatever. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it in an opposite way. Like
Yeah.
beef kind of gets absorbed into the soup. All right,
Yeah,
let's
that
next
works
question.
too. Next-
What kind of soups you all like?
Okay, well,
Yeah,
the next question, this is also from Thelonious Drunk Books on Instagram. This one actually is very appropriate for that interaction that just happened. The question is, how is it possible that Paul makes both the best and the worst jokes on every episode?
I greatly appreciate this question. I mean, I kind of ignored the second half of the question, but Well, I actually, Gabe read this to me before, and I was like, first of all, thank you, and that's hilarious. But also, have you seen the movie Signs? You know, Joaquin Phoenix's character. He's like
that old wacky Phoenix.
Swing.
swing. Well, he's like a double-A baseball player, and he never makes it to the majors, but he has like the most home runs ever in double-A or whatever. That's kind of how I see myself. I'm swinging for the fucking fences. And I want to hit a home run every time, and sometimes I fucking don't. But I don't give a shit because I'm with my friends, and they're, they may make fun of me a little bit. But I don't give a shit.
Well,
That's
it's like how in almost every era, just to continue the baseball example, in almost every era of baseball, the people, McGuire, so basically, look, if you look at a list of baseball players with the most home runs of all time, right? And then you look at the baseball players with the most strikeouts of all time, it's basically the same list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
You get all the
Not
glory
quite a dice roll, but
and all the
close.
shame.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I'm looking to hit like 1 3-run homer per game. Sometimes I hit
strike
for the
out the rest
cycle.
of the time.
Yeah, and just strike out the rest of the time.
The important part is which jokes do you remember? You know what I mean, dear
That's
listener?
right. That's
Yeah,
true,
yeah.
man. That's so true, actually. I
Maybe
feel
it's
like
the bad ones. I don't know.
Well, whatever. The swinging to the fences and what a home run is. That's again.
Well, listen, I'm trying to be humorous. If someone strikes out and falls to the fucking ground and you laugh, that's kind of what I'm going for too. So
Yeah.
as long as you're entertained.
Bunt. I feel like I'm afraid of the ball, and I try.
You
and
are a little bit of a
conquer
bunter, yeah.
it. Yeah.
Like if you
I'm
play
just like,
baseball,
I'm
you
walking,
definitely
or I just get walked.
you get walked.
Yeah, just like. play
Oh,
it
mom, I
so
got a
safe.
base on balls again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt's humor is drawing the walk,
Yes.
and Paul's
Gabe,
is. I don't know
you
what
have to finish
I don't
it
know.
up.
Me, I don't know
Gabe,
what my sense
you're
of
like a
humor
steady
is.
switch hitter with like a 325 batting average.
I'm
I'd
like
say.
Ichiro. I'm like the Ichiro of humor.
Yo, I was in
Metaphor
Cleveland
works.
because I went to school there for a little bit, and I was seeing a game with the Mariners versus the Indians, who are now the what are they called? I shouldn't say that anymore.
Did they change their name?
Cleveland.
Oh, they
They
did change
changed
their
their
name,
name.
right? I don't remember what it is
Me
now.
neither.
I think it's like the Gatherers or something. It doesn't matter.
It's something
but I
like
saw
that, yeah.
That
I saw
sounds creepy.
Ichiro. Someone he was like taking batting practice in the right field or whatever, and someone hit a ball to him.
No, dude,
And I
it's
was
still the Indians.
No, they switched it, dude. They fucking
No,
switched it.
not according to Wikipedia.
They're the Guardians. It's the Cleveland Guardians.
Oh, the
I just
Guardians.
remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude. It was like this summer.
Okay.
But I saw Ichiro. There was a ball coming right at him in batting practice, and he just ducked and like put his head between his legs and caught it behind his back. And it was the fucking coolest thing ever. I was like, Jesus. And his teammates on the team were just like,
That's
fuck.
That rocks.
Legend.
Oh, they're changing the name for the 2022 season. So it currently, that's why I was getting conflicting information. It's still currently, but they're changing
okay.
it starting next year. Yeah,
You need
yeah,
time
yeah.
to like have all new merch and
Yeah.
uniforms and like logos and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
Yeah.
All right. Sangbird on Discord asks, have we ever read a book and didn't make an episode about it because it was too bad or uninteresting?
That's a good question.
The answer is
is
no.
The forgotten episodes.
Yeah, the forgotten episodes. Yeah, there are books that we've read together that we didn't make episodes about, but that was before we started the podcast. Yeah,
The answer is no.
the simple answer is no, but it is an interesting hypothetical. Like, what could there be a book like that?
I'd be interested to know what the fuck that could be.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think we could. I don't think honestly we would ever do it. I don't think it's ever crossed our heads.
yeah. I mean, first of all,
Right? Because
you
there's always interesting things to talk about, no matter what. We can make it.
We've
can make it fucking
hated
sick.
shit. We've hated stuff that we've each
Yeah.
others
Yes.
have chosen. Like definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in general, like the
show must go on.
the show must go on. You got to keep the fucking feed tube of content flowing at all times. And so
Yeah.
we can't afford that luxury even if we wanted to. But I agree with what Paul said also, that like even if I deeply hate something, I think it is at least as interesting, if not sometimes more interesting, to explore those reasons than it is with stuff that I like. Also, just because like I have that reaction where I really, really don't like something or think something's super, super, super boring and stupid. That is an infrequent reaction to me, maybe because I have that philosophy that Paul was talking about, that there's always something interesting going on at some level. But I find that exploring reasons for hate is interesting as well.
Yeah, like a strong reaction is kind of in reversal to what Sangbird is saying. Like a nice thing when you're doing a podcast or something like this. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it makes you think
Why am I
of like,
pissed? Why do I hate this?
It makes you think of like Red Letter Media. They've made a fucking YouTube career by basically reviewing horrible, bad movies and talking about them and why they're it actually makes things more interesting when we can decipher and think about why something doesn't work or why it doesn't work for us.
I would say almost that like there's a lot more podcast media and just general stuff like Red Letter. Although I think Red Letter, like when they get the rep. I'm thinking of something like in the movie sphere, like Cinema Sins. I don't know if you ever watched one of their.
I've watched. Yeah,
and they're just like haters. Like it's just like a kind of like a toxic thing, a little bit. But there's stuff like that in literature podcast land. Like literally, like there's a ton of I think podcasts about just like bad books, and you read them and then you make fun of them, and like that's
really?
the show. Yeah, and I think the thing is I can't fathom doing that exclusively. That seems like its own kind of hell to me, to not try and find just to not try and just engage consistently with things you want to like or are trying to like, as opposed to just
that sounds awful.
you're just pissed about it from the start. But
like, it kind of it turns into that kind of like comedian syndrome, which makes me sad too. Is just like when you do a podcast like that, you're just constantly kind of giving yourself pain in order to entertain, right?
Right. Sometimes you need to drink the tears of a clown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again, just from the sorry if you guys mentioned this already. I had to go pee. Peek behind the curtain.
Peek.
Peek behind the shower curtain. You creeper, watching me pee.
Peeing in the shower.
Peeing in the shower. I'm for it.
Drinking a beer, peeing in the shower.
Just from a dude, drinking a beer and peeing in the shower at the same time. That's like sublime.
Oh, good
one of the
Lord.
subtlest pleasures.
Oh, good Lord, yes.
But the other thing, just from a content perspective, who doesn't love a good rant video? Who doesn't love a good fucking like ranty? I fucking hated this. Here's why. Video.
No, we were saying like it's fine to feel strongly, and we were saying in fact that's something that is probably going to yield something more fun than like a measured, whatever. I started talking about like the fact that that's so satisfying that there's things exclusively about tearing apart stuff. That feels like it unbalances to like the shitty end where it's
right.
Like
if that's your whole
you're in
brand,
hell. Yeah.
To get back to the question a little bit though, there probably was one episode that I wish I was considering like asking Matt and Gabe. I was like, can we maybe not air this one? Can you guys try to guess which one it was?
Hold on, let me think for a second.
You probably don't think it was as embarrassing as I remember it being.
No, I feel like I actually don't know what it is because I know one you hated that we didn't air.
Right. Yeah. That the one of the infamous lost episodes.
Yeah.
But I honestly I do think if I read that book now, I'd probably like it more.
Oh, I don't know.
Without question.
Okay, was it an early episode?
It was probably like in the first 15.
The Miner.
No, that was a good episode.
Okay.
No, Paul liked that book.
Oh, okay.
I like that book.
I forgot. All right.
Well, I'll just tell
way
you.
off. Wait, no, hold on.
Matt has to guess too.
Okay.
Was it Dispatcho HG?
Ooh.
No.
You did not like that book.
I did not like that book. No. this is actually an episode we kind of all, I think we were considering, like, should we air this one? If that's a clue. Not even, maybe not that, but
I don't
we
remember
were all
those
kind of like, this
conversations.
was kind of embarrassing.
The
'Cause we
Charles
kind of all
Dickens
went a little bit
episode?
crazy. No, that was fun.
That was me just getting insanely drunk and ending the episode early.
Yeah.
Chang,
that
because
was
we didn't
fun.
know what the fuck anything.
Ah
about-
Chang.
Yeah, yeah.
Chang, yeah.
That's
King of
true.
Trees, yeah.
That's
Nice,
true.
Matt. You got it.
Because I actually
Yeah,
I felt similarly. I was like, because I drink most shows, so like,
Yeah, I think we all do, just for the record.
Yeah.
But that was like a-
not drinking like 10 maybe.
But that was definitely one where I was like, by the end of that, I was like, okay, I can hear how my voice is. I can feel how my thoughts are escaping my mouth, and then also in conjunction with like, I don't know, just like an unfamiliar like culture. I was like, I
Yeah.
hope this is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I knew we were drunk on that episode by the end of it, but I don't think we sounded like absolute drooling idiots. Like, we talked about the relationship between Buddhism and the Cultural Revolution, and like it wasn't like we were just like, oh my god, like tree kids and communism.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. The reason I had stayed up for like 24 hours before that episode because I was trying to reset my sleep schedule. And then I got drunk. So that was why. I was like
potent
irritable as
combo.
shit. I was shouting and just like I was already drunk from being awake that long. And then I'm like, I'm going to drink actual beers. And I just felt so dumb and just like, it was just ups and downs of just being like angry at nothing. Just like like a fucking like piece of dust in my room, and then being like incredibly happy and then like, this looks awesome. You know, I just felt totally stupid.
Wee!
All right,
I'm fucking having
Yeah.
the time of my life. Wee!
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
All right.
spirit animal that day was like a
Yeah.
17-year-old girl
And like
in
Mao Zedong
Florida.
was a fascist. Yeah. It's like, what?
oh shit. Okay, next question. This is from Filoni's Drunk Books. What are some of the most prized books that you own? Sentimental, monetary value, whatever. I think this is an interesting question.
I have one
Go
more
ahead.
first.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Mine are all probably comic books and graphic novels.
Oh, that's interesting.
I have like probably 40 really rare new type magazines from Japan. These Japanese
are cool.
magazines. Yeah, they're fucking awesome. I sent you one, Matt, right?
I got it. It's in this
Yeah.
room.
They're really fucking awesome, and they're all like between $40 and $100 a piece on eBay. And I can't. They're all in Japanese, but they're all just like really big, kind of. I don't know how to describe. They're thick, and they have just amazing prints in them. And I have them all in like plastic. I
Yeah.
just really value them, and I also just have some pretty, not rare, but I spent a lot of money on some like French graphic novels by Bastien Vives, who's one of my favorite comic artists.
He's great.
So I have some pretty fucking sick books by him that I just really value.
Hell yeah.
In terms of like prose, I don't think I have any like super rare ones or super expensive ones or anything like that.
We were talking.
Yeah.
You have a nice little Simonon.
Oh, I have
so-
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
some
okay.
out of print hardcover Simonon.
Duh.
You have like
Yeah.
actually some really nice ones.
One
yeah.
of the
Yeah, I
one
forgot.
the pair that you gave me for Christmas last year are actually on my list of mine.
Oh, really?
Oh
Fuck.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because Paul, when you guys came out here last year around Christmas time, you brought one and gave it to me for Christmas, and then I won the other one in Bloodsport against Matt in Rock Paper Scissors,
Right.
and
Oh, I fucking forgot about that.
so those are actually on my list. These hardcover like out of print Simonon editions. I love these.
I gave you the cat and
The Cat and My Gray and the Headless Corpse.
Oh yeah, and I
Yeah.
read that one before I gave it to you. That's
Sweet.
a fucking good
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
I will say I have a couple, but I will say that like so that's one of them for me, or a couple of them. But I will say like I don't personally. I know a lot of people in the like BookTube online book spaces are like really into like collecting books. I do not have that instinct at all. Like I'm not particularly interested in like finding first editions or signed copies or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know why. Like
Me neither.
I don't own.
I'm actually
I don't
the
own.
opposite,
I don't
I
own
think.
more than one edition of any book that I have. And I would never buy another edition of the same book. I mean, maybe if there was like a different introduction or some critical essays or something like that included, like that's maybe a separate story. But like, I just don't have that bug with respect to books. I like collecting other things in some cases, but I don't have that urge to like find the rare books or the rare edition or first edition or signed or whatever. I don't know. That said, I do have a few that are I find sentimental or valuable for other reasons. The one type of book that I like collecting is like nuclear era, like nuclear age sci-fi paperbacks. So I have like a or atomic age, I guess is like,
Yeah.
it's like 50s and 50s and 60s and stuff. And so I have a small it used to be larger, but I sold some of them when I kind of like was moving and stopped reading fiction and stuff. But I have a small but valuable to me collection of like Ace. There was like these Ace doubles where it was like
The
a
doubles,
book,
yeah.
and then you flipped it over and it's another book on the other side in the same book.
I remember you showing me those. Aren't there a lot of them like super racist too?
Oh, I
Or
mean,
is
they're
that-
Almost always,
very
yeah.
problematic for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of them are. I mean, not that that's a unique thing about literature from that time, but yeah, a lot of I have a collection of those. There's some like Dell did these things called map backs where there'd be like they'd be like these little mystery novels, and then on the back cover it would be a map of the setting of the mystery. Like it was like
sick.
like Mahogany Manor or Murder at Mahogany Manor or whatever. On the back would be a map of the house and like all the different rooms and where the murder happened and shit like that.
That rocks.
So I do have a soft spot for old like trade paperbacks, sci-fi, western, mystery, and I have a small collection of those that's valuable to me. The other ones are I have a small collection of books that I took from my grandfather's library after he passed that have his name all in them, and he was a minister and went to Union Theological Seminary, studied under some famous theologians, Reinhold Niebuhr, who people might know.
Yeah.
And so he had a really pretty robust collection of like theology and kind of religious philosophy text, and which is something that's interesting to me. And so I have a few books from his library that are valuable to me for that reason. And the last one is a book. It's called The Great Anarchists: Ideas and Teaching of Seven Major Thinkers by Paul Eltzbacher. And the reason I am an anarchist politically, but that's a separate issue why this book is valuable. I like this book just because this is the book that I believe owned for the longest time, that I have still currently in my possession. I got this book when I was probably like 14, and I'm sure there are some books that were like technically mine that are like in my dad's basement or something like that. But in terms of a book that I've carried with me like through college, through grad school, through various moves back and forth across the country, it's this one, and it's beat to shit. It's been soaked and watered, and it's like,
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like some wavy water damage on those pages.
deep water damage. Like
Wavy
the spine
pages.
is like falling apart. But just because this is like, in some ways, my first book that's still in my library, that's valuable to me.
Damn, that's so much better than what I'm about to say.
Go off, Kate.
Matt's like, I have the Bible. My dad got me the Bible.
Well, I just like I'm with Gabe in the sense that like I don't have the collector's impulse. Like I like to amass. I'm amassing books. I want to. I like owning books as objects, but like cherished, certainly not expensive versions of stuff. Like no. Like that's not at all what I'm in it for. It's like
That's beer money, baby. That's good beer money.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, like if it costs a lot, I'm kind of trying to avoid it. It's kind of books that however I can get them, but like I'm, so like yeah, I just don't have that like rare book collector first edition, like Gabe said, signed fucking. There are beautiful books out there. So I guess mine are all ones that were most. I'm gonna say basically all the ones I'm about to say were given to me by my grandmother. Not a student of Reinhold Niebuhr, but like she was an English teacher in high school, and she was an English teacher in ESL in like sign language, which is like I don't even know. I've talked to her about this. I still don't know how to conceive of like that element to teaching English class via sign language. But yeah, so I just got this like illustrated Edgar Allan Poe mysteries hardcover. That's awesome. And then there's a box set of like I forget fucking even when, but like a Oxford English Dictionary,
Nice.
like an old leather bound one cloth bound one rather. That's really nice. Those are the only books I'm really like sentimental about. I wouldn't like to see anything get destroyed that I own, but I'm not super emotional about the books.
I'm sentimental about all of my books to a degree. Like I'm that guy who like does not like lending books out and stuff
Me
like
neither.
that. Like I hate
I've actually been called an asshole for that.
Yes, me too. I'm very like possessive about them in the sense that like my library as a whole is deeply sentimental and valuable.
The
to
idea
me,
of a library, yes, that is more what I'm into.
but less so for like this or that specific book.
That's funny. I'm the opposite in both respects. Actually, like I don't mind lending out books. 'Cause I'm a giver, you know. But I will say,
And
the
he
last
does
book
mean it like that. If anyone's
Yeah.
interested.
I do. I'm single.
And it's a good book.
The last book I did lend out, though, I have not gotten back, and it's kind of annoying.
That's
but I
all it
will say,
takes.
I kind of do like I would actually really like to get into collecting more rare books. Actually, I actually do like the mystique of it, like the kind of antique, unique nature. I kind of buy into like, cool, this artist signed this book. I do actually kind of like that. I haven't bought any. I'm not sure if I will, but I do like that idea.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I do like the idea, and if I was like filthy rich, one of the first things that I would do was go buy like rare signed first editions of books and shit like that. But like right now, it's just not something that I think about that much or prioritize.
Yeah. But I will
Right.
say, I do, like Matt, you said earlier, you like books as objects. Like, I really do. Like, that's why I like comic and graphic novels and those magazines. It's like, I appreciate things like nice pages and a nice cover. And I do hold some mystique in like an old book. Like, there's these artists that I follow that I've talked about on the podcast before, but they send each other like super old books from like the 1500s for their birthdays and shit, just because they both really appreciate like just books as objects. You know, maybe they have like really unique pages made out of weird paper that isn't printed anymore. And I like that kind of thing. It's almost like you have a little museum object in your house. So,
Yeah.
All right, next question. We're predictably moving very slow.
It's all right.
No, it's fine. I'm loving it. All right, this is also from Thelonious Drunk Books. Most overrated literary writers. Let's get spicy with it.
Ooh.
I don't know if I'll have a good, strong opinion that can be valued on this question, actually.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Can you kick us off, Gabe?
Yeah, I mean, I can. I don't. So here's the thing. Like, I like, as I've said many times at this point, I was out of reading fiction for a big chunk of my life, where I would have otherwise been reading some of the fiction that I'm reading now.
Oh, I know you're going to say, I think.
What?
Houellebecq.
Oh, well, maybe. I don't like Houellebecq from what I've read, but again, so this is kind of the problem that I'm gonna have here, is that for a lot of these kind of like canonical important writers, DeLillo, like McElroy, whatever, Houellebecq as well. I've really only read, like, I don't have a sense of their work as a whole, like the oeuvre.
Yeah.
I've read one book or, maybe two from some of these people that have 10, 20, novels that they've written. And so I don't feel like super strongly about someone being overrated as a whole at this point. I mean, I can single out specific books. You know, we read Cosmopolis, which is a DeLillo novel, and I really, really didn't like it.
Yeah, me
But
neither.
you know, I've had people tell me I've heard mixed things about that specifically from people who are like, well, that's not really representative, not really a good place to kind of start with DeLillo. And then people who say, well, it's kind of how he writes all the time. And so I just don't really know how to feel about it at this point, you know, in terms that sort of a thing. I'm trying to think if there's someone that I have like a more like well-rounded or developed opinion or critique of. But I mean, I guess like one of the other things is that, you know, in terms of people being overrated. So like here, like you read a book by someone like we were just talking about Cosmopolis. I read it. I didn't like it. That's not enough evidence for me to say DeLillo is overrated in general, but it is also going to tamp down to some degree, just psychologically, my desire to keep reading DeLillo in order to round out that opinion about his whole body of work. You know what I mean?
It's good marketing.
So it's hard, you know. I don't know if I have anyone that I'm comfortable saying their entire body of work is overrated, which I'm sure is a disappointing answer for the drama people out there.
Yeah, and I definitely don't either. I was actually expecting you to say Houellebecq for both of you, and I thought you would also say I forget Infinite Jest, the author of Infinite Jest, just because you've been reading
David
it.
Foster Wallace.
Oh well,
Yeah, I thought that maybe you would say that because like
there's a separate
because of all-
question
I mean-
about David Foster Wallace coming up, by the way.
Okay, well then I'll hold off on it. But I thought maybe
Yeah, I
he'd
mean-
be in the discussion a little bit.
The idea of overrated in literature, yeah, it's tough. I'm about to round out this disappointment by just saying there's no one I can out and out claim to say is overrated. I've been disappointed again by singular works of people who are very famous, like I think. Sebald bores me to tears. Austerlitz was probably one of the most dry, boring books I've ever read. Do I think Sebald therefore is like not worth his status? I don't know. You know, I don't know. Yeah. So apologies.
I mean, like I think I could say something like, but then again, like we have to. This circles back a little bit to the question of like what makes good writing. Like for me, I'll say, and this is someone that I have read a good chunk of their work. Orwell, I think, is a pretty terrible writer. I don't find his work compelling to read. I don't think he's particularly adept with language, but arguably historically and politically one of the most influential and important, you know, writers of all time. So,
Do you think he should be though?
That's the thing. I mean,
This is now because we're
I
talking
don't
about your
know.
opinion, so it's chill.
Yeah.
So like, is Orwell, because 1984 is probably one of the most read books in the world?
yeah, I think it's like
Well, I think
up
for
there
that
with
book,
the
it's
Bible.
like I think for that book in particular, though, is that like it goes beyond the regard of the prose because the idea was so strong.
Right. Well, so
It's just
that's
like
that's why it's confusing or a little muddled, right? Because like if you say is Orwell overrated, right? Okay, is Orwell overrated as a writer? I don't know that people are reading Orwell for the writing
Because of his
ever.
writing prose,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Or the story or anything. They're reading it for, you know, political concepts and in a lot of cases, you know, currently like just like to make a cynical, manipulative point, like. So you know, I don't know. Like, and then if you switch the question again and say, should Orwell be politically influential? I mean, that's a weird historical counterfactual that I don't really know how to process. Like, you know what I mean?
I guess.
tell-
I mean, go for it. Go for it, Paul.
I was gonna get off the rails a little bit. Is that okay?
Yeah, do it. I don't think
Just quickly, when I read 1984 when I was like fucking I don't know, 13 or something, I had like a really weird visceral experience. I finished it at like 2:00 in the morning at my grandpa's house, and I was like so distraught by the ending and everything. I just like kind of read it in 3 days. I literally had like a weird out of body experience where I thought that like my heart was outside my body and it was like giant and it was pulsating and I just had an overwhelming desire to change the world.
That's epic.
Damn.
Yeah, it was fucking weird. And I woke up feeling like really depressed, like a cocaine hangover almost.
Well, so that's the thing,
Really,
right? Like,
really fucking weird.
like if I say, okay, I don't think Orwell's a good writer, that's not really speaking to like that sort of experience that Paul had, right? Because like that experience wasn't motivated really. I mean, I don't know. I imagine that experience was more motivated by like your understanding of the concepts Orwell is working with and some of the ideas that he's putting forward. It's like, you know.
Well, the question is about overrating something, and like, if obviously like people can have their very like unique experiences with something that undercut anything you could say about like, you know, I just said Sebald's boring. If someone's having a fucking just blissful revelation during the reading of that, obviously, yeah, like I don't say that that's not valid or true, but I don't know. The question is like definitely like, at least for instance in Orwell, it's like if he's being kind of used pedagogically to make a largely political point with 1984 in particular, are there not, in your opinion, underrated, better examples of either that concept or a better concept of totalitarianism that could be taught in schools, or, you know, just things like
Well,
that?
I think that our
Then the
podcast-
answer is yes for me.
Definitely yes, but like it's interesting like how certain books and certain authors get regarded. Like it makes me think of Mohsin Hamid's book that we read, which is like, you know, New York Times bestseller.
Exit West.
We didn't have great things to say about it overall. I think we thought it was like pretty decent, but I tried to make the point in that podcast about just like popularity and being a really real thing, and like readability, and like, can this book work for a really, really fucking large audience in the way that pop music does? And does that devalue it? Does that make that artist or author overrated because of the way that their art is kind of popularized? And that's a weird question for me. It's like,
And who's rating
you know.
it, right? You know, like, is it like we were saying, like, you got a very long cultural longevity with somebody like Orwell, who I'm just latching onto because that's, yeah, like Gabe said, maybe one of the third or second most read books in the world. Versus, right? Like, I don't know, like critical appraisal. So yeah, it gets complicated.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I could say, okay, so here's the closest experience that I've had recently to this. Paul's going to be pissed, and then we can transition to the next question. Murakami would be the closest experience that I've had that. Now, you know, a lot of people who style themselves as like, you know, fucking like good book readers, already don't like Murakami, right? Because he's popular, prose style's too simple, whatever, right? I've read, you know, we did an episode on Killing Commendatore. Me and Paul went through one of his short story collections. I think, you know, he's probably better than the like lit bros think he is, but like not like one of the best writers writing currently, probably. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of overrated and underrated by depending on the group you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think in my perspective on Murakami, after reading more authors over the last year or whatever, is that I still fucking love. He's still my favorite author. I would say, at least in the top two. But I do actually think I like him in different ways than the populace does. Like I don't know, the more popular books I've read by him, I really do not like. I think they're definitely overrated and kind of bad.
Well, and to get back on to like to just reiterate the point, and I also have not read like some of the books that are considered his like best books. Like I haven't read Wind Upper Chronicle, haven't read IQ 84, whatever, you know.
Yeah. I think my last thing on Murakami is I want to say the dive into the male gaze is something that he does best, and it's not something I ever hear talked about. It's always like, oh, he writes women bad. It's like, for me, it's like, no, he's writing from a very like true, kind of yucky male perspective, which I'm not saying I agree with, but it's interesting as fuck to me. But okay.
Any final thoughts on this question, Matt?
No, I wish I had something spicier to say. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah.
I can talk shit about a lot of people, but I'm not comfortable saying like overrated.
And again, it's like, it's individual works, sure, but I have a hard time with the whole oeuvre thing.
And also, like Gabe said, you know, a lot of the time, if I don't like something, I don't follow up by reading more.
Right.
So I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so the next question, which I'm going to just based on the last discussion we had, is from Thomas on Facebook, who asks, why haven't we read the Wind Up Bird Chronicle for the show yet, and will we?
Well, Matt and I both read it.
Yeah.
I have not read it, so I'll
That's
just
partially why.
I'll just say I would read it. I would read it for the show, but yeah, it's a bit of a, you know, when two out of the three people have already read it, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you guys read it again?
I mean, I was reading it over the course of like the last year slowly, and I recently finished it like maybe a month ago, and I just didn't really like it actually. I don't know.
I would.
Sorry,
I don't
Thomas.
really feel like it right now.
Maybe here's what I'll say. I'm taking applications for my next big book that I'm going to read for Patreon vlog videos. I'm currently doing Infinite Jest. And so maybe I'll do the Wind Up Bird Chronicle for that once I finish Infinite Jest.
All right. Well, Thomas, I will say my favorite Murakami book is West of the Border, South of the Sun, or South of the Border, West of the Sun. I can't remember.
I think it's
It's
which
kind
is
of like,
one of the ones that a lot of his other big fans on, like, you know, don't really like that much, right?
I know, but to me that one was my favorite one so far. And that's why, I don't know, I think of him as in a different way than I think a lot of Murakami fans think of him. Like I value things that a lot of his major fans don't, and I devalue a lot of the things that his major fans do.
Yeah. So maybe I'll do it as a Patreon kind of a long form vlog thing.
Cool, man, do it.
Yeah. Once I finish Infinite Jest. Speaking of Infinite Jest, the next question comes from Thelonious Drunk Books on Instagram. For Matt, how did you first get into DFW, and what are your opinions of his overall body of work? Short story gems, favorite turns of phrase, factoids, etc.
Oh man, like so his oeuvre and bio.
Oeuvre, bio, get into the juice here with the Wallace Man.
I don't think my story is uncommon. I started. I thought he was like the best writer ever in college. Very specifically, I guess because like I almost wonder if it was destructive, my fandom of him. But like, he was already kind of a meme, right? Like when I got to college in
He still is.
2006. Yeah, and he still is. But like, you know, it's just funny. Like in 2006, like I was a freshman and like I was reading Infinite Jest, and it like really his kind of just like his whole demeanor and perspective and the work itself really spoke to me at the time as like just a kind of overly self-conscious and very depressed person. Who's kind of like
Reminiscent of your college years.
Yeah, exactly. I think very specifically like my college years, like I was like no one else is hitting these notes of like I'm way too self-conscious and like overly capable of like verbally like describing my experiences while that doing literally nothing to alleviate the state of depression and anxiety. So like whatever, it's like this person who was like really articulating something to me at a time when I was like in my late teens, super early 20s.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I devoured everything he did. He killed himself in 2008, right when I was in the middle of college.
Did that affect you at the time?
Yeah, I was very sad about that. I felt like a sort of like kindred voice was killed in my current instant. Like, I don't think Wallace in particular was an incredible writer. Like, I don't. I think he was developing in a positive direction. Obviously, I read The Pale King and saw sort of like instantiations of, I don't know, something that felt different from what he was doing prior. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like young, overly self-conscious, kind of like self-styled, like I'm very smart and I'm depressed.
Yeah.
It was that shit just was like so appealing to me, and you know, I can't deny that. Like, I think he continues to have that effect on people, and that's kind of important. Although I do wonder if there was a sort of negative element to it, where you go down the path because he fucking offed himself. It's like there. I just wonder if fans of his that are young people just kind of sit in that. Because he obviously did, and like find an allure in that, and that's his ultimate failing to me. Is that not that I need a solution,
you're
but
worried
like,
that he's turning people into doomers.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. He did for me. And then obviously depression and just like that is a bound perspective, and that ultimately feels like why you either grow out of the work that he was capable of finishing in his way too short lifespan, or you realize that there's better stuff out there.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't read that book yet, but I do like the way you guys describe it. I do think I'm not going to read it. Actually, I'm just not. But I do think
Which
of it
one?
as like Infinite Jest, in particular. But I don't know. I from what I've gathered over the last few months when you guys have talked about it, or just it makes me think of just any kind of book or show or movie that like is really maybe like it can resonate at a certain time of your life, really like a lot. Like Barney resonated with people when they're fucking
Okay,
5.
bro.
That's a spicy analogy.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I went back too far, but like something like The Great Gatsby, is that a better thing? Like it'll
Sure.
resonate. It can really
First of all, it's
be
a book,
effective in a certain age bracket, right? And maybe Infinite Jest is really valuable at a certain age bracket, and I mean,
I think this is a really interesting question to discuss a little bit for me personally right now, because I'm reading it for the first time at 33.
Yeah.
So I don't have that like
There is a nostalgia element for me now at this point.
Yeah, and but so I'm going in for the first time in my early to mid 30s, and I don't have any of that kind of like romance of depression or romance of
well, you've also never been
whatever.
depressed in your whole life,
Yeah, dude.
so that probably adds to it. Also,
That's true. Yeah, I'm generally a positive. I'm generally very mental attitude type of guy.
yeah, yeah.
But so I think it's interesting to read it now for that reason. But I think that I'm like about 300 pages in, and I think one of the things so far for me is that, and this is why, Paul, I would recommend that you read it if you ever want to, even very slowly, which I'm doing. Is it's very readable.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the writing is not. It's not like 900 pages of like McElroy cannonball writing at all.
Yeah. Because that's how people describe it, right?
Well, it's
like-
people describe
It's
it as
just
being-
long,
It's
so
just,
people say it's
It's
hard,
basically it's basically just long, and people are a bunch of like crybaby like little diaper people about the end notes.
Right.
That it has end notes, which is like, okay, well, whatever, and that that's not a thing.
End
for me.
notes. I've come around on end notes completely.
I-
They're fucking fun.
I hate I think they should all be footnotes, but the concept is fine. But anyway,
and they were supposed to be. They were turned to endnotes, I believe.
oh, is that true? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, then his first instinct is right. Footnotes are objectively better than endnotes.
The editor was, like it's too disruptive. He's like, that's the point. That's what consciousness is like, and they didn't. Yeah, whatever.
But that's such stupid reasoning, because having to pause and like mark your page and then turn to the end of the book is way more disruptive than it
Agreed.
being on the same page. So that's fucking stupid.
Agreed.
But I'll say, like, I obviously I can't pass judgment on the whole book yet, and it is complicated in the sense that there's a shit ton of characters and different like things you have to keep track of, and it jumps around in time and all that stuff. That's true, but the writing itself is not what I would call complicated writing. I also think that I'm not ready to say I don't think he's a good writer yet, Matt. I think there's some like really brilliant moments. And,
Did I say that?
Well, you said you've come around to the view that you think he's like not a great writer at this point in your thinking.
No, I
thought-
don't think I just don't hold the opinion I had where he was my favorite writer and he wrote anything that didn't closely resemble what he was already doing was something that I just couldn't read because it just wasn't that. I guess I didn't make it clear, but like
Okay.
he's just not he's not up there with like the best writers I've ever read anymore.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
he was.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. I don't really have much to say about that because, like I said, this is the first. I think I've read some of his like nonfiction essays and stuff in the past, but this is like the first time I'm really engaging with his fiction. So, all right. Next question. Let's see. Okay. Susie on Instagram, I think. Let me pull up her handle. I don't want to like say people's full names. Brunette Burnout on Instagram.
All right.
Love that handle. Brunette Burnout on Instagram asks, "Are any of us writing anything right now? Are any of us in the writing game?"
I did
Yep.
not expect this question.
I'll go first. No, I'm just a spineless coward critic who talks about other people's books. It's not entirely true. I do write a lot, actually, but it's all academic writing for journals that no one's going to read. So it's probably not the thrust of the question.
Yeah. Matt, are you writing anything?
Yeah. But I wrote a comic book for you to draw.
Oh, yeah.
And then I also am writing another comic book for me to draw, like in the new year.
And you have like a complete a couple complete comics out there already, right, Matt?
Yeah, they're for fun. I mean, like I don't
Plug them, baby.
I ain't deadly serious about this. I try and keep it in the realm of like fun. So, well, I don't know. There's my very first attempt, which I wrote and drew. So the drawing is the key component there. That's kind of amateurish, but it's about the Trix rabbit if he were genetically engineered to be alive. And then I wrote a short Christmas comic for my family, which I then made public. Both links of which I think you can just go like to my Twitter at Matthew Torpy, and they should be there.
I colored the Trix comic over the
No,
course
you
of
colored
a
the
week.
Christmas one.
Oh, the Christmas one.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, and I didn't sleep for like a week coloring that thing. That was fun.
I super appreciate it. I didn't mean to just glide over your contribution. Yeah, Paul helped me with that very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt has a pretty much completed comic that I'm drawing and coloring and everything. So we're
Yeah.
kind of comic.
Paul's doing the harder part of it.
Yeah, but Matt
Oh,
wrote a
don't-
very
don't-
good
I don't know
comic
about that.
script.
No,
Very
it's true. In
detailed.
comics, it's true. It like it's a visual medium, so like I would it's very like obvious to me that like the artist kind of like pulls it off. Actually, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've seen like good shit like kind of get by with like really bad drawing, but like it kind of you're always aware that
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like you want the alchemy of both really clicking. So
Right, for sure. It's like a hybrid medium.
A good idea has to be executed well.
Paul, are you writing anything?
Yeah, I didn't expect this question, but weirdly enough, I am, and it's only been because of the podcast. Like, we read so many books.
Hell yeah.
I've kind of dived back into my love of writing. I used to write in college a lot, and I told Gabe this story that, or I think I told both you guys, but like I would get into classes where I knew the final exam would be like either a story or a final paper. And I would just not do my homework and then just write a story. And it happened like 3 or 4 times where my professors were like, "This is really fucking good. Like, you're getting a 90 average and we're going to get a 60. So that's cool." So I've always really enjoyed it, actually. And so I've been writing. I don't want to say what I've been writing, but I've been writing.
Is it well, wait, why don't you want to say?
short stories, longer form,
Poetry,
maybe something
novel,
like that. Poetry, yeah.
Oh, yeah, like a short story, but maybe like a novella, just to try to do it.
How
fuck yes,
what
dude.
kind of
I'm writing
progress
like
have you made?
I have almost 2 chapters complete in like a weird sci-fi-ish type thing. That's not exactly sci-fi, but
Yes.
just weird. And I have just kind of a more dramatic millennial man thing.
When are you gonna
that
let
I'm
us
writing.
read some of this shit, dude?
I will let you read it soon.
You don't have to let us. You don't have to finish it. I wanna help you edit as you go, dude. I want to read this shit.
Okay.
Well, get something in working order. You can send it to us to proofread.
Yes.
We promise we'll be fair but
Well,
cruel.
And
I have
we're
it-
gonna review it on the podcast.
Yeah.
I do have a hang up. I don't know. I feel like it's a common hang up though, is that like once you show somebody any artistic endeavor to get feedback from it, and once you get the feedback, it can kind of kill your motivation. So I've been trying to make more progress.
How
it can
so?
kinda
Why?
Because like it feels like even if you haven't released it into the world yet, it can feel like that subconsciously. So it can just kind of deaden your like I just think in a lot of ways it's better to like get not 100%, but like really close to it. Or at least like a fucking big chunk of anything you're creating before you try to get feedback, because you just don't want to kill your motivation.
I guess
At least that
I could see
that works for
but,
me.
yeah.
That works for me, anyways. It's like
I still want to read it though,
I will.
so I don't care about your.
We could tell you
I will
nothing
send
about it if that makes you feel less like you released it at all.
Yeah. I just want to read it. Like even if we don't give you any feedback, I just like to read it.
I'll send it to you.
Do it.
Yes.
That's sick. Yeah, Matt, have you ever tried writing like fiction at all, and like outside of like comics, like or poetry or anything? I wrote poetry in high school, but that was the last time, and it was very bad. I expect. I don't really remember much of it, but that was it.
I wrote short stories for my every year for my or semester rather. I wrote for my like college literary journal called the Ampersand. Yeah, nothing I would show anybody now, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And then no, not for a long time.
Yeah.
I wrote. My outlet for writing was largely, shout out Pat Willems.
Shout out Pat Willems, friend of the pod.
friend of the,
Oh, yeah.
friend of the pod, YouTuber, and
Friend of high school.
yes,
Like actual literal friend. Yep.
Yeah.
literal high school friend, now film Twitter and like YouTube film criticism realm. But I wrote and acted in a bunch of sketches and shit for him. So there's just a lot of the kind of behind the scenes writing that I've done for him. That's about the only other thing.
We're creative people on this podcast. We're fucking creative.
Before we go to the next question, here's my fucking nuclear scalding hot take that I am not taking questions about at this time or feedback.
Okay.
Writers make terrible critics. Period. Next
agree.
question.
I do want to say one more little anecdotal thing that I remembered about when I was in high school. we had a exercise to write like kind of a sequel to the Telltale Heart.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
I have it in my
and-
collection of illustrated Poe mysteries
Oh, really? So you did that?
that I cherish very much, and that my grandmother gave me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote something, and I remember my teacher reading it and then coming up to me and was like, "This is really fucking awesome. Can I read it to the class?" And I was a really anxious teenager, and I said, "Oh no," but I meant like no, meaning yes. And she looked at me like afraid of me, like, "Wow, I just asked you a question and you just like denied me," and it haunts me to this day. I was like, that would have been
Not-
sick if she read my fucking story to the class.
So you
Really
wanted it to
fucking
happen? Well, she
I
seems like she
did.
reacted weird too.
Yeah.
Well, she said, yeah, I think she did. But no, what she said was, would you mind if I read this to the class? So I meant, oh, no, like that. But like probably like, oh, no, because I was an anxious teen.
Yeah.
So she got freaked out, and yeah. And now I'm not a writer full time.
Yeah. Now you're
That was the first domino.
David
Yeah,
Foster
that
Paulus.
Oh shit. Okay, next question comes from Thelonious Drunk Books on Instagram. What are some other book podcasts that you guys listen to? Are there any?
Dude, fucking zero.
Why would we why would we listen to the rest when we've already got the best, baby?
Yeah,
Yeah.
baby.
No, I don't listen to any other. I really like Bookshore. I like Ben a lot, who was our
Yeah, there's a
guest.
lot of BookTube people that I watch.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Ben in particular, I really like. I don't really follow. I mean, I follow a lot, but I'm like waiting for Ben's uploads every
Yeah.
time.
You have the notification bell turned on.
Yeah, for Ben in particular. But no, I mean, in terms of podcasts, shout outs to S Town. That's basically I've listened to that like 5 times.
Yeah.
But I don't really listen to podcasts that often.
Matt.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
Literary podcast? No.
well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I will say, like, part of the reason we wanted to do this is because it seemed like a kind of gaping hole in the podcast world. Like, there's a lot of people who review books on YouTube and stuff like that, but there just aren't that many of them, as far as I can tell. Like, obviously, like some of the, like newspapers and magazines have like a book or literature related like podcasts and stuff, but they're mostly like author interviews and shit, which is cool.
Right.
But I personally don't really give a shit about, because as I said, writers are terrible critics. And so like what we do is not something that a lot of people really are doing in the podcast space. There are a couple that I like that I listen to occasionally. I don't really listen to a ton of podcasts in general, but hold on, I'm gonna burp.
Oh, that was disgusting. That was the
God,
worst.
dude.
That was the most disgusting burp.
You can
on the
hear that
podcast
smelled.
ever.
You can hear
Oh.
that smelled.
Dude.
You're welcome. But I'll just shout out a couple. The How's the Water podcast. That's just like two people who talk about books. It's pretty good. I listen to occasionally. I don't know if they're releasing new episodes anymore, but Feeling Bookish is a pretty good one that I listen to sometimes. Hardcore Literature I listen to occasionally. I don't think they have any social media, that guy. I think he might have a YouTube channel. I forget his name. Ben McAvoy or something like that. And then a new podcast that I want to shout out, just because I happen to know a little bit one of the hosts, Super Chillers. Super Chillers is a new literature podcast, and it's two folks discussing basically like tween and teen horror novels from the 80s and 90s. And it's very funny and very interesting, and you should all go check it out. Super Chillers.
I also listen to Viva La Dude, obviously.
Shout outs Viva La Dude, friends of the pod. Not a literature podcast,
Not literature.
but friends of the
Literate
pod.
men.
Yeah.
Literate dudes.
Yeah.
Dan has been on our podcast.
Yep,
and he's
twice.
the man. So yeah, check them out.
Oh, also, I've listened to a few episodes of. It's also a new podcast, but it's called Aeolian Broadcasting, and they do discussions of like poetry and kind of some obscure texts that are interesting. So check them out as well. So yeah, those would be my recommendations. But again, I mean, and if there's anyone out there that knows a bunch of literature podcasts that we're just missing and don't know, let us know. But I just don't think there are very many.
I
Not as
listened
good as
to
ours.
I listened to the fucking Logo Daedalus, the Twitter guy. I listened to his thing when it was part of Kantbot's thing, but now he has a show called Read Books PPF,
Right.
which is pretty solid. But he moved it into its own Patreon for a fee. So
Boo.
I
Cash grab.
so like
Just kidding.
to be honest, like I
We do that
I
too.
listened to like the first two, and then like he moved it behind a Patreon wall, and so I just haven't gotten around to
paying
paying for it. But what I heard was good, But that's about it as far as like literature stuff.
I was looking on the page. Aren't those episodes are like fucking 9 hours? What are they doing?
Well, Kantbots are the
Those can't all be happening at the same. Like it can't be one shot, right?
no, to be honest, I think they're really fucking great. But it's like, yeah, these like 7 hour a pop fucking historical sagas that go
Yeah.
on. They're like Dan Carlin, kind of,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like really just tackling something in like stupid depth.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Shout outs. Okay, next question from Thelonious Drunk Books on Instagram. The most underrated literary genre
No,
writers.
god damn it, dude. I don't know.
I've got an easy answer. The easy
do?
the easy answer for me is Simenon.
Oh, fucking true.
Simenon, I think, is one of the. He's my favorite author, period. And I think one of the greatest and one of the most criminally overlooked writers of the 20th century by a wide margin. I think he is, classed as kind of like a pulp detective fiction writer, which, because of course a large chunk of his literary output were the Maigret novels, which shout outs to Penguin for reprinting all of those recently. That's a huge undertaking and a enormous service to the literary world. But he is, to this day, not someone who's like taken seriously really in the pantheon of writers. And I think part of it is like a lot of people just look at like, holy shit, this dude wrote fucking what, like 400 novels.
Yeah.
And I think the assumption, I think people like, right, people just like, well, they can't be good, right? Because nobody could possibly write that much work,
Right.
and have any of it be of quality.
You're an
But
amphetamine addicted
but
hack.
You're
if
fucking
you
wrong.
Did that.
But you're
Yeah.
fucking wrong, people who
Yeah.
think that.
I was going to say that there has to be someone at Penguin who just fucking loves Simenon. I would love to know who that is. Who pushed that forward. Just like, yeah, we're going to reprint fucking all of them. I want to know who that person is.
If you're out there listening to this, come on the show because you're an absolute legend.
They have to be a fucking Simenon head.
Percival Everett seems underrated, just in my
Yeah,
brief
I was
brush
gonna
with
say
him.
that.
Yes.
Although he
Yeah.
has something
Yeah.
out now that is like on the rack of like new popular releases at like a chain bookstore in my town. So like, I mean, I
Okay.
get maybe he's climbing, and also Grey Wolf Press is. I don't know. It's like well known. I don't know what their like mission statement is or what it is they like. If they have some sort of like criteria that's like specific, but the man's been writing for a long time, and from what I've read, which is the one book,
Yes.
like deserves way more kudos.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that book that we read definitely, put him up there for me in terms of like someone I need to read more of, and who seems like shocked that I had never really heard of him before.
Oh, I
But
have another
Simenon,
one.
I can get behind as well, just to pile on.
Definitely Simenon and Percival Everett. Those are my top two.
Yeah,
But my next one would probably be Charles Dickens. I just don't think he gets enough credit for being the greatest Christmas novelist of all time. And I think people should really look into him if you're trying to have a good time around Christmas.
Yeah, the chimes we can't recommend enough.
Yes, we cannot recommend our episode on it, but we can recommend the book itself.
Yeah.
I only read one of the short stories, and then Gabe got so drunk he ended the podcast prematurely.
He's just filled with Christmas cheer.
I
dude.
had so much Christmas cheer that evening. Yeah, I was so
Gabe
cheery.
imbibed so much cheer that he just
Oh
had
my
to sort of
God.
cheerfully log off. Yeah.
That was
That was
yeah,
so funny.
That was fucking so
epic.
funny.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I was gonna say shout outs. You mentioned Percival Everett's new book, Matt. I think it's called The Trees.
Yeah.
Travel Through Stories, which is an excellent YouTube channel who does book stuff. He did a review recently of The Trees, and he said it was in the running for his favorite book of the year. So seemingly,
Maybe we should read that
some smart people are kind of coming around on Everett here as well, which is great. Okay, let's see. Next question. Laura on Instagram asks, who are our favorite women writers? Don't get canceled, boys.
By saying what,
kidding.
a man?
By saying, yeah, I guess, yeah. Or by saying, like, none.
Oh, I mean, definitely not.
Yeah.
I think I'll go ahead and jump on the most obvious choice for me, and it's been true now, even though I've read her work slowly over my life, like Woolf.
Wolf.
I just can't, like, Woolf always just fucking, like, I don't know. She might be one of my favorite writers of all time. I've read 4 of her novels. That's it. But I'm just like, every time it's just it's something I remember. So I mean,
feel
that's
like-
maybe low hanging fruit in some way.
Well,
but
I think it's not, because I also think it dovetails with the last question, because I feel like Woolf, despite being so well known and whatever and taught in literature departments, I feel like is still somehow also wildly underrated.
yeah, I would agree that there are people who have like insanely famous, but just kind of by like word of mouth and just reputation novels that are still just not in general read. I mean, it's that sort of the end of the recognitions Gaddis thing of like, you know, critically acclaimed and seldom read, right, kind of person.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have no problem saying that I had a tough time reading Wolf, actually. Like, she added to my, like, general anxiety. But I did think she was,
Well,
like,
that's good, I think.
it is good. It was, like, what she was kind of going for.
Yeah.
I mean, that book was, like, it was a weird, like, calm anxiety, which is obviously a
Very British.
juxtaposition. Yeah. I think
Keep
my
calm and
favorite-
carry on is kind of like most of what her book sentiments seem to be.
I think I don't think I've ever read like two. I feel bad saying this, but I don't think I've ever read more than a one-off by any female writer. Which I
Were
feel
there
embarrassed
standouts
about.
though among
Yeah, I
them?
mean, I would definitely say Jean Stafford, The Mountain
Oh,
Lion.
very fucking true.
I mean,
dude.
that was a 5-bagger for all of us before the podcast started. And I would also say Udresic?
Yeah,
Was it?
Ugresic, yeah.
Dubravka.
Udresic. Yeah, The Museum of Unconditional Surrender. That was a fucking
True.
amazing book.
Yeah.
And I want to read more by both of those authors, but they were fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, actually, like, probably my top 3 we've done, or maybe top 5, like, books on the whole podcast. Those 2 books.
Yeah, I embarrassingly have a similar problem in the sense that, like, there are individual books by women authors that are some of my favorite books ever. The Mountain Lion is my favorite novel of all time. And there's a few other ones that, like, The Waves, what did we read? What wolf did we read? I'm sorry. Mrs. Dalloway.
It was
Yeah.
Dalloway.
But again, I have this problem similarly to the, like, overrated question of, like, not feeling like I have a full sense of people's body of work. You know what I mean? One person, as I was thinking about this question, that I read a bunch kind of randomly in high school and in college, whose work that I loved and need to revisit as an adult is Jeanette Winterson. I don't know if you've read any of her work, Matt or Paul or
No.
anyone out there, but she's written a bunch of novels. Her first one is called Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. And that's maybe her most famous one. I read that. I also read a collection of short stories by her called The World and Other Places. And then there's a book called Lighthouse Keeping, which is about a lot of her books deal with kind of like, mental illness and feminism and, sort of some more explicit political stuff, but done again in kind of like a subtler way. And I have very, very strong and fond memories of everything that I've read of hers. And she's someone, and I think she just released a new book this year, or maybe it's coming out next year. And so she's someone that I want to revisit, now.
Yeah, I think the only other names I can say are I don't know how to say her name. Marguerite Yourcenar. Do you know who that is?
I do not.
She wrote Memoirs of Hadrian and The Abyss and a couple other novels. And then I had, at this point now, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I read that Lucia Berlin short story collection. Lucia Berlin, I think, rather. Whatever, like Memoirs of Cleaning Women, or I forget what it's called.
That sounds familiar. Yeah, I don't know if that's the exact title, but
A Manual for Cleaning Women.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess to get, wow, Paul dropping bottles.
Didn't even mute himself.
I would say as far as like the GOAT, it still is basically Wolf for me.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? I dropped my beers.
We did because you didn't mute yourself when you left.
Sorry.
Dickinson poems, obviously.
Yes.
Hit me hard. Yeah.
Well, we can maybe take this as a call to do some more consciously do some more women writers for the show, just to get a wider. Yeah, I would even love to just revisit some more Wolf novels. Matt, whatever ones you haven't read. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Next question comes from Thelonious Drunk Books. Let's see, which one do I want to do here? Okay, we'll do the serious one first this time. This is, I think, one of the most interesting questions that we got. What sort of person do you expect will write the novel of our generation? Will they be an MFA graduate, some down-and-out struggling genius, a social media bookstagram or booktube influencer?
Nope.
What do you think? What sort of a writer is going to produce the, I don't know, like the infinite jest of our generation, I guess, maybe?
I mean, it's such a hard question to answer, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like, it's like asking who has the artistic sensibility to do something like that. It could be fucking anyone. Could be a lawyer that quits their job and just like, I didn't like being a lawyer. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and because I'm a booktube influencer, I don't want to say it's not that, because I'm writing a novel right now. So
It might be you, Paul.
Could be me.
You.
I mean, my general sense is that it could be, it could be fucking anybody. I do think that the millennial generation does have the ability within us to do that. I think there's enough soul and enough voice within us. Like I like being millennial. I think we are fucking cool. And
Well, you don't want to be lumped into
shit to
millennial
say.
fiction, which we talked about with
No,
Buster,
millennial fiction.
Raven
We
was
read
on
it.
it.
Yeah.
It sucked balls. But I mean, okay, it didn't suck balls.
I think we might have to.
I'm a little lit.
Nah, it wasn't. It was mediocre as shit.
Yeah, it wasn't good. We didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't love it.
Yeah.
I did not like that. No, it didn't. It might have felt good for the time, but I mean, for the question of like something that has some longevity to it, I think a millennial writer is out there that can do that.
I agree. I
and
think
I'm excited about it. It's an exciting prospect to me.
I think just like generationally, I mean, I think there's positives and negatives. Like just generationally, I think the millennial / like Zoomer generation, or maybe specifically the millennial generation, like there's such a breadth of like historical social experience that we've all been embedded in, at least in America, in the West, right? Like, we had 9/11, we had the Iraq War, we had the housing crisis, we now have coronavirus. Like,
We had
there's-
internet.
yeah, the internet sort of was like came up as we were kind of growing up and maturing. And I think that these births are potent today.
It's like, listen, I'm seeing like
So I agree with Paul. I think there's like very, very fertile ground there to be plowed by somebody.
yeah, I was like, I'm 8 years old. I'm like hearing about how the president's getting his dick sucked, and then cut to a couple years later, I'm online. I'm at rotten.com.
Yeah, there's so much there, right?
And
There's
then
so-
9/11 happens, and I move, and then
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then it's just Corona now. It's just like, yeah,
I think
and then I suck the president's dick. It's,
yeah. And then I sucked the dick of the president.
I think my worry though, and this was a little bit to me borne out in reading Luster, Raven Leilani's Luster, is that synthesizing all of those experiences into something cohesive and like, like that doesn't feel just kind of like scattershot with like, here's a bunch of cultural references and shit that I am familiar with, and here's a bunch of like traumatic experiences all kind of like shotgunned against the wall, which is a little bit what that book felt like to me.
Yeah.
That's hard, especially when there's so much shit to draw from, that our generation has gone through. And I think that's going to be the challenge for whoever does it.
And I mean, I'm assuming we're talking specifically about the novel as an art form, and not something different than that, or like an elaboration on that, right? So like,
yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, I mean, because like the problem there is information, right? Like, we talk about encapsulating or somehow distilling something. First of all, it's like, is it are we saying that the only thing that would actually like fit the criterion of what we're talking about is like something that is encapsulating everything that's going on culturally? But then, like, I think the issue is about the sheer volume of information and synthesizing that stuff. And it's like, yeah, you either get people who are writing contemporarily and they're like, they're just kind of like, they don't have like the full story, but they're still trying to kind of like evoke this overwhelming contemporary experience, and it feels like just fucking buckshot at a wall.
Well, and who knows? Like, maybe it will be some kind of like mimetic, glitchy, like very scattershot thing that comes out of it, and that becomes like the great work of this generation. Like, that's possible. I just think that's also difficult.
Yeah, I just feel like it's going to be somebody who's like obsessively been doing it, and is I feel like it's like never been not kind of this case where it's like someone with probably some sort of privilege to be able to do so, who's been thinking about shit for a really long time, but is not I would say very pointedly is not a Bookstagram person, not a fucking influencer.
Yeah.
Not somebody with any kind of image
Yeah.
that they've been cultivating beforehand, specifically in the realm of like writing and books. That's basically all I can say as like a prediction is it's probably not going to come from the field of anyone self-consciously trying to do the thing, because that's not really been the case for anyone else worth their salt, in my opinion. Before
It still could though. I don't know. It's just like there's a
it
question. Of what,
it could. I just don't
could. It
think it
doesn't-
will.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. I mean, it just reminds me of like. I mean, it's weird that it hasn't happened yet to me, because like, there's plenty of millennial.
People writing all the time.
Yeah, but there's also plenty of like millennial artists and other genres or whatever, like musical artists that I think are doing a fucking sick job. So it's kind of weird to me that like, why isn't that translated to this medium of making and creating something?
Making writing.
It's like writing. Yeah, it's just like it's fucking weird that it hasn't happened yet. But I don't know. But I do think that like like Murakami, the horrible author Murakami, he was 30 years old and he like owned a bar.
Yeah.
And just like kind of was like, I think I can write a novel, and he did it, and he like instantly kind of got recognized, and it took, he quit his job, he sold his business, and it just kind of like, it can just kind of happen that way too. Someone's just like, oh, I'm of this generation, and I kind of feel like I just can write, and I'm just gonna do it. So it can be just a wide range of a person.
Yeah, who's to say like what fucking consciousness is going to be able to uniquely create something that also then in the specific time and space succeeds.
Yeah.
On all those levels. Yeah. My bet is
Grimes.
it's not
Grimes. Oh, dude, it could be.
It's gonna be Billie Eilish.
Oh God!
But they already make music, and which
Second Grimes.
I'm actually not as down on the possibility of it being some kind of like social media person as Matt is. That seems
Kanye.
It seems like a live option to me, just based on the way people create and consume stuff now.
fair enough. Yeah. My bet is that it just won't be.
Yeah.
But it's not a
Yeah.
dead option. That's for sure. Not in my view either.
All right. Next question.
Next question.
From Thelonious Drunk Books on Instagram. Gabe, what's the deal with the chest tattoo? He's asking about the tattoo I have on my chest, which if you've seen me in YouTube videos or Patreon videos, I have one. It's a large buffalo head, like bison, covers my whole chest. And I basically got it because my mom's from Wyoming, and we went on a trip to Yellowstone National Park when I was younger, and I saw a bunch of buffalo, and I thought they were fucking sick. And so it's like a light homage to my mother, and also just buffalo are sick.
It's also in a kind of like Japanese art style.
I mean, it's like traditional tattoo style. I wouldn't say it's like fully Japanese, but yeah.
It's
That's
very
my
big.
read. And it's large, yeah.
It's very big. That's true. Yeah. Watch our YouTube videos and join the Patreon if you want to see a brief glimpse of it.
Yeah, Gabe has wardrobe malfunctions all the time where his whole shirt comes off.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right now,
that's
Gabe's
true.
wearing a shirt that has the biggest hole of any shirt.
The biggest
that could
rip of
possibly
any
Super
be a
big.
shirt.
It's super big. It's like half the shirt's falling off.
Yeah.
It's
He looks like a
comfortable.
zombie,
It's
yeah.
comfortable, dude.
It's dying to be a crop top.
Yeah, it basically is. Okay, Bookshore on Instagram, friend of the pod,
Oh.
asks, what book would we want to see covered on BookTube? So I think this is interesting because it's interesting to think about kind of the way the hype train of books goes on internet book spaces.
Yeah.
Because you'll see randomly, like, in a week, like 10 different people post about the same, like, one book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it feels coordinated almost.
Yeah, like the news media or something.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if these people
Yeah.
are all in conversation with one another. They're definitely not talking to us because we're the bad boys.
We are
Yeah.
the bad boys.
We're grounded.
Drunk boys.
We're an ISS and we're grounded.
Exactly. So, I don't know. For me, it would be The Mountain Lion. That's my favorite novel. I think it's incredibly underread, and I wish more people would read it and talk about it. I'm happy to see Percival Everett getting some traction, though. I'll say that.
Yeah, my answer was going to be Percival Everett, but if he's already taken off, I got to think of somebody different. I mean, the Mountain Lion would be sick. I mean, I would love the Mountain Lion to be taught in schools, honestly, like alongside Catcher in the Rye. It should be, really. But in terms of BookTube, I got to think about it. So, Matt, do you have an answer?
I don't know. I would like to see older stuff. I guess maybe. Like I chose The Confidence Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Upcoming episode.
I think there's a lot of Poe's another good example. Like, I just feel like there again, it's a case of like these people who are names, who I feel like because they're names already, are like regarded as it's a done deal.
Right.
When they have this like backlog of stuff that is like to be taken seriously, and like I just feel like at least America too, like we have a literary history that is, I think, somewhat undervalued. Even like fucking Twain, or you know what I mean, like Emerson, like these people have like
Emerson rules.
yeah, and it's like and I think Pynchon follows the continuity a slight bit too. Just like these, I don't know, people who contribute to a conception of America and are super important.
Pynchon is like hot shit on BookTube already.
He is.
Yeah.
I guess I don't mean that
yeah.
he's the one that should be covered, but I would say patriotically, kind of like old American writers like Emerson.
I like
and Melville.
that. I like that. I feel like
Yeah.
American literature is still. This is going to sound like very stupid and patriotic, but like among the like BookTube elite, a lot of American literature is kind of, I don't want to say looked down on, but I do think that there's a lot more work to be done with people like Twain and Melville and stuff like that has not been done yet.
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna I've been thinking about it. I think I'm just gonna double down on Percival Everett. I feel like I've only read the one book, but I feel like he needs to be explored fully by BookTube. I did want to say, because Ben asked this question, Ben is like a collector of like kind of expensive and rare books, but he's fucking he bought, I forget the book he bought recently, but it's like he called it like the Don Quixote of like some Middle Eastern country, I think. I can't remember, but he bought it for like a big sum of money, but he wants to basically release it for people. Like he wants to photograph or like photocopy like all the pages, and I think that's fucking sick, Ben.
Yeah, there's a project
that is worthwhile. That is worth doing for sure.
Piracy and archiving is so good. Do it.
Ben's whole like philosophy is like read these like rare books because they should be read, which I think I totally agree with.
And that's true. Like to revisit that earlier point, like if a book is rare and like and just like not reprinted, and the only way to get it and read it is by buying a rare expensive copy, like
or signing into a sort of academic.
I would probably do that, but but I do think that those things should be made more available, and any effort to do that is laudable.
Well, especially if a book is like highly regarded in one isolated country by like all the people of that country, and then we're like the rest of the world isn't able to read it because it's so expensive. It's like, fucking get it out there.
Yes. So. I'm just gonna say it. I don't know if this is spicy, and no one asked this question, but I'm going on record that this podcast is pro piracy.
Oh, I've been saying that, man. Yeah.
100%.
I am morally against piracy, actually.
Oh.
I have bad morals in general,
cringe.
but I don't like it.
I am pro
don't steal
cheating artists out of their work and making them go poor.
Yeah.
No,
that's what I mean when I say that.
That's not what I mean. It's more complicated, Paul. Next question. This is a great question from Thelonious Drunk Books on Instagram. What are your personal most Chad and dum-dum moments related to literature? I've got a good answer for my most dum-dum moment. Paul already knows what it is.
Yeah, and I do too.
Paul already knows my most dum-dum moment related to literature. I was talking to Paul.
Oh yeah, I totally do.
On a AOL Instant Messenger chat back in the day, and we were talking about. I think we were talking about Lord of the Rings or something, or The Hobbit.
Oh, yeah.
Like as Paul does, Paul is wont to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in a phase of my life, an embarrassingly long phase, where I was just kind of like a flat out dick. Just kind of thought I was smartest guy in the room, know everything, like typical, white 16-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's very different now.
Thank you, Matt. And and I for whatever reason I had this take that I can't even remember my own logic. Paul was extolling the virtues of The Hobbit to me, or The Lord of the Rings to me. Like, this book
Yeah, I was
rules,
just like,
it's
Tom
so good.
Bombadil's sick. Have you ever thought about Tom Bombadil?
And Paul was just very wholesomely talking about how awesome Lord of the Rings is. And I said, this is pretty close to verbatim. I was like, I only read books that could actually happen in real life.
How much Reddit gold would you get for that statement, do you think?
Oh my god. And yeah,
we still make fun of you to this
That's
day.
brutal. I feel like that's what my dad still thinks.
well, but it wasn't even like a principled, like, I only read nonfiction. It was
Right.
even more dumb than that. It was like, I read fiction,
Creative
but
nonfiction.
only if it could happen in real life.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even like, this is just made up.
No,
It's like,
no, it was more stupid. So that's like definitely my dumb moment, and also one of my worst takes ever in general.
I think I remember just being like, "What? Like, are you what? I don't get it at all." Okay.
Anyone else have a dumb moment or a Chad moment? Like, I don't know, a book. I've got a lot of dumb moments. I lied about reading Infinite Jest like 10 times throughout college.
yeah, there's way more dumb than, like, Chad is hard to.
I guess
like,
I guess I would say my Chad moment is admitting to that about Infinite Jest and reading it at 33.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fucking Chad.
I think I think for all of us, probably Chad is like, being like, okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, it's time to actually put in the work, or like do anything.
Humility is Chad.
Yeah. Dum is
think-
same. It's like, I'm just like, no, I understand. No, I did read it. Yeah, just lying. Just, maybe in my hyper emotional teen years being like, yeah, if you're my favorite authors were all depressed.
Yeah,
And that was like
good.
the most coolest correct view. If you're smart, then you're sad. And
That's
you
a good
wanna die.
one. That's a good one.
Yeah, for me, I never really ever claimed to be a part of like the book life. Really, like I that was never a part of my identity in college. I never really I never really was in a circle or felt the need to like concoct some sort of Infinite Jest lie. So I don't know if I have any. I mean, I'm like a dum in general in every podcast. So that that can be my dum moment. It's just like.
No, dude, you're salty.
No, dude. Yeah. Well, I think you're
I'm the normal baseball loving normal guy on the podcast.
I think your Chad moment is just sticking to your Murakami guns so hard, dude. I love it.
Yeah, dude. I'm not backtracking. I've almost even doubled down. I think he's a great writer.
That's fucking Chad. That's Chad.
And I think people that like him for the wrong reason. So controversial.
That's good, man. Yeah, I think not just being a leaf blown within the winds of like popular sentiment about literature is pretty Chad, to just be solid.
Yeah.
But not to have the blinkers on or to be stubborn for dumb reasons.
You're right.
Yes.
No, I think not to psychoanalyze myself too much, but I think I have a good ability to like come around on points and books, and when you guys like tell me shit, I can agree with you or whatever. Like for instance, Matt. Well, I mean, I can't remember anymore because I don't hate it anymore. But the book that we read before the podcast, the younger book,
Hume'sville.
Yeah.
Hume'sville, that was notoriously. I thought it was the worst book I've ever read. But I think if I read that book right now, I'd be like, this book is sick. So I have
awesome.
the ability to change.
Which is Chad.
And that's a huge change too, by the way.
Yeah.
You know?
So
and
women
a
out
huge
there.
Chad move.
So all the women
Yes.
listening right now, I mean, I'm moldable.
You can fix him.
I'm a fixable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can enjoy the Nazi if he wants to.
No.
No.
Got you.
No.
Got
Oh
you.
shit, you did get me.
No, I love Younger too, dude. I'm sorry.
Well, we're going to be reading.
Well,
another
I'm
one of his
excited
books
about
coming
your
up.
next pick, actually, Matt. You picked another Younger book.
Yep.
I'm excited
Yeah,
about
I think it's very interesting.
that. I'm very... yes.
All right, so next question is from Thelonious Drunk Books on Instagram, and he asks, I'm going to have to massage the language a little bit here to avoid calling out some people by name.
Sure.
Whoa.
But
he asks, what are your opinions? I'm just going to rephrase the question a little bit. What are your opinions on the Bookstagram circle jerk? Specifically talking about some, independent kind of publishers and the way like books get hyped and they come out. Are they the sort of monstrous rat king that makes the case for leaving literary writing to professionals and academics? So this is a spicy question here.
no, dude, you can't let that shit just like ruin your appreciation or I don't know, right? Your like hopefulness for independent
Right.
published shit.
Yes, I
Like
agree.
obviously that's the tendency that it may and probably will take. Because I tend to think when you're dealing with people like this, you're dealing with egos
For sure.
that are huge. I don't know. So I wouldn't let this kind of like fucking storm in a teacup
Yeah.
color your whole opinion of the whole, all the ways in which that endeavor can manifest.
Yeah, that's basically my take too. Like I'm definitely pro independent writers, independent publishers, and all that stuff. I think it's a important and valuable avenue for stuff that for whatever reason can't get published elsewhere. Now, of course, in some cases, the reason that it can't get published elsewhere is because it's bad. And I can't speak specifically to any specific book or publisher or anything like that.
The biggest circle jerk I ever saw in my life
Tell me.
in the early 2000s. Does anyone remember the alt poetry scene? I've railed against it before.
I remember you talking about it before, but it's not something that I really was like involved in reading or anything.
Well, the sort of Steve Rogan book and co. I knew some people involved in it
Yeah.
personally. That to me, image macros with references to the fact that people are on the internet now as profound commentary was a circle jerk. It was all obviously in Brooklyn. No surprise there. And it had to have been one of the most insufferable things that I've seen. And I feel like it's obvious when it is that. I mean, it can
Right.
still gain momentum based on the mutual aid that all the people are rendering each other in their already probably fairly privileged and connected lives. But I mean, I guess I'm just trying to say that I sympathize with like the fear of that occurring again, because it is rough.
It's also, I would also say like this is not a unique issue to like indie publishing or anything. Like any
No.
kind of like underground indie, release of any type of art, whether it's visual art, comics, music, literature, anything, is going to be, to some degree, populated with those sorts of people, right? Who are circle jerky and like, this is good because it's underground or but on the other hand, of course, right? Like I don't know a shit ton about the publishing industry. Matt, you probably know more about it than I do. It seems like a hellscape, just in terms of like the process.
It's all
of
it's
getting
all
a book
super
published
insular,
and
dude.
like all of that. So I totally think there's plenty of room to be critical of the publishing industry and supportive of small presses, independent writers, and all that stuff, while also not falling into the just like, hipster circle jerk.
Yeah, and I think small presses are even a step above what I was just discussing. Like those are people who are like
Right.
printing their own self-financed chapbooks in Kinko's. You know what I mean? Like it's like a different echelon. But what was the like crux of the question? Like, is that
Just basically, what do we make of the what do we make of like the Bookstagram kind of circle jerk hype train culture? And I think
it's just something to be. It is real and it's something to be cautious of, but it's not the enemy.
Yes.
No, it's not the enemy because I don't think it's the enemy because like it's still a positive thing, I think, to talk about underrated or lesser known whatever. So even in like a circle jerk of music, like people revering certain artists in a small circle, their criticism could be warranted still. I think you just have to like pick and choose, and like with this is a bad seed. They're talking about it in ways that are just like kind of ugly or something, but like
keep your wits about you. Read a lot, know what you like, know why you like it, and therefore you're critically honed to, separate chaff from whatever.
Yeah, it's
like a
critical
perspective
support,
thing.
critical support, right?
Yeah,
it's like a perspective thing because like even on the flip side of it is like you guys were talking about Virginia Woolf before. Like what if she never got recognized and she was only in small circles? Like, do you think about her work differently?
Or Melville,
because she wasn't famous. It's like, no, you have to have your own fucking idea of what is good and what is bad. And like, you have to try at least to like devalue the populace opinion of any work of art or fiction or whatever. You have to like judge it for yourself, which is maybe impossible, but you have to at least try.
It just takes work, It just takes work.
It takes work. Yeah.
And I think, like, just to circle back again to one of the earlier questions, like, I think when we're thinking about, like, where is the novel of our generation going to come from, I don't know, but, like, I'm broadly in favor of keeping as many avenues open for that novel to find air as possible. And I think that the Instagram, Bookstagram, independent stuff is one of those fucking portals that novel might fall through.
Yeah, and I would say be able to differentiate between just like gatekeepers and critics, or I don't know, like people who actually like are serious about it. You know what I mean?
100%. That's a really important distinction.
Yeah.
Because when it becomes a social thing more than a critical thing, like you say, Matt, I think that's which I think you're describing a little bit with respect to that poetry stuff you were talking about earlier, which I don't really know anything about. When it becomes like social and like who's in, who's out, who's hot, who's cold, who's in this reading group, who's in that reading group, like who's being interviewed by who and all that shit. And the actual whole fucking reason you're there in the first place takes a backseat. That's when shit starts to go sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah. You lose focus. It's the thing that's important is completely de-emphasized.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, next question. Let's see. From Thelonious Drunk Books. This is an interesting one too, and I don't know what you guys have to say about it, but are there, basically is asking, what are our opinions on like the current climate and culture of the big literary awards? Are they worth paying attention to? Are they something that are valuable? So he's Nobel, the Booker Prize, Pulitzer, etc. And this is relevant because, of course, recently the Nobel Prize was just announced. Abdul Razak Gurnah won that, and the Booker Prize 2021 was just announced recently for Damon Galgut's The Promise. What do we, is this something you guys pay attention to? Do you think it's valuable? What's your current like temperature taking on literary award culture?
I don't pay attention to any awards at all, but that does not mean I don't think that they hold like reverence in society. Like no matter what, it's gonna affect something about our culture, right?
Right.
So even if a fucking like horrible movie wins Best Picture, it's like, or like a scientist wins the Nobel Prize and they shouldn't or something, or it's like, what it's gonna affect something.
If some,
That's
what
the
would
only-
what would a scientist winning like if maybe if they invented a way to like make poop stinkier?
Yeah,
Whoa, what? Yeah,
to like make a leather jacket more sexy.
Just totally superfluous.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't
Still
know. I don't really.
awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't follow any awards across anything, and I don't like look at someone. If I ever come across anything that won an award, I'm not going to be like, "Ooh, this is probably good." So, I mean, that's just my general perspective. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It always aids towards the, or it aims towards the populace, which I kind of shy away from, but, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with Paul. I can't say that I've ever seriously followed the big award-winning stuff. I mean, I've occasionally fallen victim to like being intrigued merely by the blurb on the front of something that's like my favorite thing. The thing that always gets me is not awards like the Prix Goncourt or the whatever Man Booker or any of that stuff. It's like what the one that I embarrassingly find intriguing the most is the New York Times notable 100 notable books of the year. I don't know why that one. I'm always like, let me just flip through it. I don't know why
Right.
that one gets me every time.
Well,
Maybe
maybe
because
because
it's
of the
like
number.
more. Yeah, it's more like humble for some reason. It's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
but even that, it's like, no, I don't care, but I don't care to the degree that I also don't know whether or not the things should be abolished or or done away with.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as both of you. Really, it's like it's not something that I follow closely at all. If I see an article pop up or someone talking about it or whatever, like I'll click and just like skim the list of the books. You know what I mean? But to me, it's like a resource. You know what I mean? Like one of the it's not definitive. I do not trust that anything on there is going to be something that I like or I'm going to think is good or anything, but it's a resource. It's going to be, one of the things that the Nobel Prize in literature has been kind of trashed for a little bit in recent years is that it's been awarded to people who are like comparatively obscure, right? Like the guy that won this year, Abdulrazak Gurnah, who's like I forget where he's from, Tanzania. Not a particularly well-known author, certainly among the public, and even among people who consider themselves kind of like in the literature world. And then people are screaming like, "Oh, Pynchon should have won," or Cormac McCarthy should have won, or whoever, right? These people
Right.
that have been, theoretically on the list for years and have never won. That's fine, but I do see part of the purpose of these. Let me put it this way: if you think these awards are or should be awarded purely on like merit alone, whatever that means, I think you're misreading the situation. Part of these awards at this point in their history is to, bring to prominence sometimes people who are currently not as prominent as maybe they should be.
Yeah.
No one needs to be told to win Pynchon or to read Pynchon. Like what does it add to Pynchon's career at this point to win the Nobel Prize in Literature? Honestly. In my mind, nothing. Like the award is what it is, right? It's not some, No one needs to be told by the Nobel Committee, hey, you should read Thomas Pynchon. We do need to be told, hey, read this person who's been producing quality work for 10 years in Africa that no one's ever heard of. So I do think that's a valuable service. I'm not, I think people who are like, butthurt that like, well, this guy's not better than Pynchon and the best writer should win every year. That's kind of a ridiculous view in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there could just be something else to kind of bring writers like that to light. Like I agree with I agree with what you're saying. It's just like even when you talk about people who you're like almost once you start to get into what I think is already just the niche realm of like literary criticism online and like fucking r/lit, like, lit and all this kind of bullshit. It's like, obviously you're going to be, if you're like frequenting that stuff, you're going to be sick to death of hearing about Gaddis and Pynchon and these people.
I am currently.
Yes. And I fucking agree. The thing is, still, people don't read the stuff. Still, you know what I mean? Like, that's the impression I get anyway, is like it's still just talked up. It's still kind of like the end joke of the recognitions.
Right. But I guess it's not obvious to me that awarding Pynchon a Nobel Prize would increase his readership.
No, it probably would not.
If that's what you're getting at. Like,
no, I think it's just funny, like degrees of obscurity. And like how even word of mouth and like we've been saying, like I was saying with Melville or Emerson or these, again, people that everyone half educated or not even could like maybe muster up a memory of the name of. It's like, are they, is that their legacy? Just that they are mentioned as a sort of name drop. And no one actually still even engages with their work,
right?
Let alone the people who don't even have a name to be spoken of,
right?
So I don't know. It's just like a funny dilemma to me.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't know. I just think the view that like it's this objective measure. It just feels very
objective,
whiny to me, right? That like objective. It just feels very whiny. Like, well. It should go to the best living writer every year, and so until you give it to McCarthy and Pynchon and whoever the fuck else, then you can't give it to anyone else. Mm-hmm. That just feels like a goofy view to me. And the other thing that I'll say, just like speaking about quality, I mean, what I will say, and to go back to your New York Times point, Matt, I thought it was kind of an interesting, just like very quick experiment that we did a few weeks back, where we read. Like Paul mentioned, Mohsin Hamid's Exit West, which was like a New York Times top 10 book of the year for the year it was released. And then we also read David Diop's At Night All Blood is Black, which won the 2021 International Booker Prize. Mm-hmm. For whatever it's worth, N of one and an experiment, right?
Yeah.
That David Diop book I thought was really fucking good. And
it was
has actually kind of, not to like give away anything if we do some kind of read ratings or think about stuff for year-end episode, but that book has stuck with me. I find myself thinking about that book a lot in ways that I was not expecting, even immediately after having finishing read it. And so, whatever, like you can critique the methodology or critique whatever, but at the end of the day, the people who are, maybe this is naive, but I have some faith that the people who are handing out these prizes have some sense of good literature. And, not saying I trust all of their taste or that they're going to pick the best fucking book every time or the best 10 that they're nominating or whatever, but it's smart people thinking seriously about good recent books. That's valuable to me. I don't put more stock in it than that, but that in and of itself is valuable.
Yeah. I think to me, it's just like, it comes down to like the weird not political, but like the social aspect of the whole award system is just, it gets twisted quickly, doesn't it? Just by the whole, just by how it is. But if there was an award
Definitely.
system that was just like wholesome as shit and was like David Diop's book should be read, so we're giving it an award, which I hope to think that was like the motivation for that award. Then yeah, I mean we wouldn't have read that book if we didn't hear about it because it won that award. You know?
I'm sure we would not have actually.
Yeah, I'm sure we. Yeah.
Good point.
But it'd be cool also if like the Booker Prize would just be like, Pension's not going to win because he doesn't need to win.
Yeah.
But
The man needs no introduction.
That's not going to happen.
Just
Right.
yeah.
Here's like
Yeah,
an honorary award, but he doesn't really deserve it because here's this new artist that we think you should read.
Yes.
Like
And I
that's
just,
the way it should work.
I'm all for additional transparency in the process and that kind of thing. I just think it's so funny when people are like, these awards don't matter, they're so stupid, and then they get so pissed when the person they want to win doesn't win. It's like, well, which is it? Does it matter or not? You know what I mean?
Well, that's a sign of a bad personality, and I'm not going to be friends with that.
Yeah.
person.
Right.
And I just want to emphasize, like, I think the issue at hand these days with information is again curatorial and archival and
Right.
and gatekeepers in the pejorative sense are to be looked out for and shunned and destroyed.
Yes.
All museums should be destroyed.
Sometimes
I've worked in
that's a
one,
hot
and
take.
I've dealt with curators, and they're fucking losers, and I hate them.
yeah, we need a purging and a re-infusion of good curatorial talent and archival talent.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I guess I just think like there's no good system for doing anything like this, right? Like, I think we can all agree that like, elite fucking goofy gatekeepers is a bad way to do it. But everyone would be equally mad if they just gave the Booker Prize to whatever book sold the most copies that year.
Right.
It just comes down to like everyone when it comes to these sorts of things. It seems to me that everyone thinks the Nobel Prize Committee should be a committee of one, and it should be themselves, and that's it. And it's
Right.
and I just think it's like, okay, well,
Army of one.
that's not very helpful. You know what I mean?
Army of one circle jerk, but
Yeah.
we're all jerking each other's penises.
Exactly. It's just a Ouroboros of your own
Of a-
wiener.
Or a rat king of wieners. though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, we're down to our last 4 questions here, guys.
Oh, let's fucking go, dude.
All right,
Let's
so
We're
this
closing
is
in on 3 hours, so
we are closing in on 3 hours. So that's
Let's do
I
these
feel like
lightning
that's
round. Let's go.
No, I'm not in a rush, baby.
no,
What are you
I'm not
talking
in a
about?
rush,
That's a
dude.
good thing.
All right, well, I'm gonna go piss
I want
now.
to break.
All right, well, wait. Okay, so I'll wait to read the question until you get back, and me and Paul.
No,
will just
lay it
riff.
on me, and then I'll go pee.
All right,
and
so
I'll
the
think about it.
question is, would you ever consider doing episodes on poetry, ancient Greek or Roman texts, or religious texts? Is the question.
Yes. Bye.
Okay, Matt just says straight up yes.
Matt's answer.
Yeah. My
Um,
answer is also yes, and just a little preview. We are doing an episode on poetry in a couple weeks, and I confess to being very nervous about it because I don't know fuck all about poetry or how to evaluate it, and so I'm a little worried that we're all just going to be sitting here drooling all over ourselves.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a 30-minute long episode. We're like, I thought this was nice.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I'm worried about it too. Actually, I haven't really thought about it until just now, and I'm like, fuck, we'll just all get drunk. It'll be
Yeah,
fine.
well, that's not new. That's,
it's not
that's
new.
standard operating. That's SOP. That's standard operating procedure.
I mean, to answer further for me is like I would do a religious thing. I mean, it seems fucking interesting and fun. It'd be kind of an undertaking maybe because we try to read books that are less than 300 pages, and most
Right.
religious texts are like long as shit and complicated.
But I wonder even if we read like like one of the Gospels. I don't know how long the Gospels are in the Bible, But like, what if we were
Like
just like
20 pages or something. I don't know.
I honestly have no idea.
Me too.
But like, what if we read one of it? That might be interesting.
Well, we could talk about Jordan Peterson. It would probably come up.
He has unfortunately taken on the status of religious text for a lot of people.
Oh, definitely. But I mean, this wasn't mentioned in that question, but we're planning on doing some philosophy readings.
Yeah, not for the show, but as a group read on Discord. So subscribe to the Patreon if you want to do that.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if that would translate well to a podcast episode. I feel like it would be a lot of just like, I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't be as entertaining, but we're all interested in that. I mean, Gabe obviously is a professor in philosophy, but Matt and I are both.
I'm not a professor of philosophy. I just have I have a background in philosophy.
Okay. Education.
What have you covered?
Well, we basically just said yes. We previewed that we are actually doing an episode on poetry coming up, and that we are a little nervous about it. Because speaking personally, like I feel like I can appreciate poetry, but when it comes to the analysis of it, I don't know fucking shit about meter. I don't know anything about like different like rhyme schemes, or I don't know any of the like technical details about how poetry is supposed to work, or how certain poetry can be written. And I know that there are a lot of those technical details. And so I worry when I read poetry, I think I can analyze it similarly to most novels and other fiction in terms of themes and imagery that comes up repeatedly and stuff like that. But I know that there's a lot of other stuff specifically with poetry under the water in that iceberg, as it were.
And Gabe, you're trained in this, and I'm sure you've mentioned this as well, but like with philosophy, although Gabe has more of the prerequisite background, like Paul and I, we'd have to do some of the similar, not that it's completely similar, but we'd have to like familiarize ourselves in a way similar to the poetry thing, where there's like modes of argument and terminology and jargon and like intellectual history there that we would, like, Paul and I would have to fucking do a crash course, whereas Gabe has spent
years of
a solid
experience,
decade, like kind of like connecting the dots on, and I think that really just sort of sums up the overall thing is like, yes, of course, very interested and I engage in that stuff in my spare time.
Yeah, well, we also do it like on Zoom. Like that was kind of what we did before the podcast too. Is just like zooming about philosophical ideals.
Yeah,
I mean, recently Gabe and I, after a podcast, I was really drunk and talked about how I've been buying into nihilism, and that was really fun.
What was the trajectory of that though? Because I can't. I would say don't do it. I'm assuming Gabe was also like don't do it, or did he say something different?
No, it was really fun actually, because I was just like, I've been watching a lot of nihilism videos. I haven't been reading any, but I want to, and I was just like reiterating all these points that I still kind of believe in, that I can't really wrap my head around off of, just like the classic ones of just like the meaninglessness of life and relationships, and we're all fucking all that shit. And Gabe was kind of just like, yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. But he was like, but you can do this and this and think about this. Yeah. And it was fun to talk about, but also just kind of like, I don't know. I couldn't make the leap out of that, and I still haven't.
It's just a little more specialized and a little more like vulnerable in a way as well, I think. Like for however I guess kind of like nervous we would be to try and like do these books justice
tackle
and
something
talk
like
about
that,
them and tackle them, to then like go for like the stuff. I don't know. Yeah, they're also incredibly different forms of writing.
It'd be cool though. It'd be kind of like the same realm.
I'd sooner tackle philosophy than poetry, almost in the sense of difference.
Yeah. Actually, I feel the same.
I think poetry is kind of like this or art almost, like in terms of writing that precedes all of the stuff we've been discussing.
Well, so
Well-
yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Well, with philosophy, a discussion of philosophy, we have Gabe as the backbone of like, what am I saying? Does this make sense? You know, Gabe has such a good general knowledge of philosophy that it would be like, you know, we could always be bouncing off of him a little bit, I guess.
Well,
But
the thing
with poetry, we're all fucking like naive idiots.
absolute dum-dums. I think
Which will be fun, actually.
It is going to be interesting, you know, and I am going to try to do a little bit of research before we do that episode, just so I, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. But I mean, you know, in terms of so yes, we're going to do an episode on poetry. I personally would be totally down to do some like old Greek plays, like some Sophocles or
Hell yeah, dude.
Aeschylus or whatever. Like I'd be super down to do that.
It's funny because that's like high school shit in a way.
Yeah, yes,
right?
it is. But I suspect there's significantly more there than we got in high school.
I would say, yeah.
But the religious text one is the one that is a little bit tricky to me because, like you're talking about, I feel like there are certain religious texts that can be read as works of literature. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when you know you were going pee, but me and Paul were talking about what if we just read like one of the Gospels, right? Obviously, we can't read the whole Bible or anything like that.
Well, we could. It'd just be a priority, and it would be completely different from how we organize the show, and it would just be like, yeah.
Or like, you know, there's like there's like old like Sanskrit religious, like the Mahabharata and all those things can be read as literature and all that stuff. It would just be a big shift, I think. I'm open though. I'm open to it.
Yeah, it would have to be done in chunks, maybe, or yeah. It's like, I don't know why it has this weight to it, but I think it's just because it's
people
like the
feel strongly
foundational
about
shit.
it, you know.
Yeah, there's a huge like emotional field around this and how it's discussed, and yeah, I guess maybe that's the thing.
I think it's part of it, and I don't know. Speaking personally, I would have a hard time drawing that like mental line as a reader between a work of like religious, you know, like devotional materials as a work of like literature versus like philosophically evaluating the claims that are being made, right? Like that for me personally, that would be a hard fucking like line to keep unblurred, if that makes sense.
It's funny because I was thinking. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
I was gonna say, like, even like when I imagine reading the Bible, even I would probably even think of more of a like a social and fictional context, actually. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like like in terms of who could be writing this from what time period, like.
Well, reading the Bible as literature is a very like legit and like scholarly. That's not a word.
Scholarly.
No, I know, but I was gonna like
Scholar-esque. No, I don't know.
Well, okay, so here's why it's confusing. This is why language is bad. I was gonna say scholarly supported, but that's not right. It would have to be like scholarly supported or something. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
yeah.
A legitimate realm of study. Put it that way.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's something. The Bible in particular is not something that's like alien, right, to literary analysis, obviously, because you have people like Bloom, I think, was deeply engaged with it, and I think Northrop Frye famously as well saw it as kind of like the key to like the narrative mentality of you know, I don't know, all Christendom, and therefore all stories made of people who could even claim anything to do with having historically come from that tradition. You know, so it's like, you know, there's a way in which these are like the ore texts for most fictional traditions now. So I get the interest, and like yeah, I don't know. It's just a little nerve wracking. That's all.
Yeah, I would be totally open to doing it personally.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should start. We should start with maybe a Greek play or two, maybe a poem, and then.
We're doing poetry already, baby, in a few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Next question. Pissbrain 1080p on Instagram.
Hell yeah, dude! I love this guy.
Yeah. This guy is
person. I don't know.
Friend of the pod. Pissbrain asks.
Tells us we suck. And then it's
Yeah. And then, never mind. I won't go on. But Pissbrain asks, are we going to do Among Us playing sessions with patrons?
Why not?
I would be happy. I've actually never played Among Us. First, okay, here. Actually, let me pause. The first thing that I'll say, Pissbrain, is that unless this is an alt account of somebody else, as far as I know, if we did do Among Us sessions with patrons only, you would not be allowed to play.
Yeah, that's true,
So I'll put it that way.
buddy.
But I would love to do that. I've actually never played Among Us. We were going to try to play it together, but there was some problem where you can't play it cross platforms or
Yeah.
something, right? Which is
Yeah.
annoying and stupid. Have you guys played it at all before?
No.
No.
I want to play it.
Who killed who? You know, who killed somebody?
It's like a good old whodunit.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes, but you wouldn't get to play, as far as I know, unless you're on an
Because
alt.
we
unless
don't
you're-
like you. Yeah.
No, because you're not a patron. Unless this is an alt account. Okay. Next question.
Oh,
Yep.
nice.
That was awesome.
good.
All right. Next question from Thelonious Drunk Books. Are you aware that everyone skips the Harry Potter Sorting Hat section
Shut
and
up.
fast forwards to the rankings?
No.
Or to the ratings?
First of all, hilarious.
ouch. First of all, ouch.
You'd be
Second of
Slytherin
all,
for
Harry
saying
Potter is the best book of all time, and you're a squid for saying that.
that. Oh, you're a squib. Yeah. You don't even have any sort of magic in you at all.
That's
know.
first of all, ouch. That hurts.
Because I do think that's what everyone's waiting for.
I
every episode.
assumed that was the most popular segment,
Yeah.
and if it's not, then I guess we got to listen to the public here. But I do have to say this: if you're skipping the Harry Potter house sorting segment, you're missing out on some real juice, because there are subtle points made in those segments about in almost every case about the characters in the book, the way they relate, that are not made anywhere else in the episode. So you're missing legitimate, genuine analysis if you skip that segment.
Yes. It is.
You really
it is
are.
a joke and it is a bit of trolling, based on prior memes. But like any good joke, we wring a little bit of the truth out of it. You know?
Exactly.
And we take it seriously. Dumb things taken seriously is one of my favorite things, and it should be yours as well.
Yes. Objectively true.
Yeah. Also.
I don't know. I just I can't be fucking dumb. It's fun. And Harry Potter's a fun thing to enjoy in your life if you're a millennial or whatever. I don't know. A soft fuck off, and you actually you must love it.
He's
Yeah,
in denial.
you're wrong. You're actually objectively
You're
wrong.
actually in
You're
denial.
in
You're
denial.
not.
You
You're
love
not
it.
giving in to just
you
like.
love it.
Yeah.
You know, there's this whole notion of oh, if we're on a book podcast, we must not Harry Potter's stupid, and if you're whatever. No, dude, I enjoy Justin Bieber, and I love J.K. I love J.K. Rowling.
No, don't say that.
I love J.K. Rowling's books.
Including one about the murderous trans person.
Oh God.
The most recent one
Oh
she
my
did.
God. Nice. So we are open to feedback, but don't skip
If anything,
it. Don't
the
skip
ratings is the worst part, because it's
Right.
we have to kind of do. We're like, got a number, we got to give it, and we change it all the time, and it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't trust the ratings.
But don't skip anything. Lap it all up, pig.
Yeah, eat it. Speaking of lapping it all up, our final question of the evening.
Ooh, yes.
So yeah, speaking of lapping it up, big diarrhea energy
On Twitter.
on Twitter.
I know this guy on Twitter. Yeah.
Big diarrhea energy asks, and do not skip this segment, Thelonious Drunk Books. What are our Hogwarts houses?
Oh.
The most
okay.
important question of the night.
See,
am with
I
this
never
on
went.
Twitter, actually.
I never went onto that website that lets you know that.
You don't need to take a test, man. This isn't BuzzFeed. You
Well, I
know
think
it.
what we
You
should
know
do,
it in
we
your
should-
But there
heart.
was.
We should segment into like what we think of each other, what houses we think we should be into.
Oh shit!
And then like I've
Jesus.
done the test plenty of times. So
I
I
have
know
taken
in
the
my
test.
heart
I'm not
who
gonna
I
lie.
am.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and Paul's already gearing up because he knows Gabe and I are gonna say Hufflepuff, and he hates
I
that.
know,
He's like,
but
I'm
you're
a
wrong.
Gryffindor. Yeah, are we wrong, the majority, or are you wrong?
I actually
Democracy
I'm,
works, Paul.
I'm not
Yeah.
even actually sure if you guys are going to say Hufflepuff. Is that
Democracy
Okay.
now, Hufflepuff.
All right. Well,
you.
okay. So Paul,
Okay.
then you go first. You tell us what you think our houses are, and then I'll go, and then Matt can go, just because that's the order on
Okay.
my Zoom screen.
Gabe, Slytherin, Matt.
Why?
Ravenclaw.
Wait, why? You got to say why.
Oh, why? I mean,
Well, no, you didn't specify, but okay,
you didn't specify.
I'm specifying now.
okay. Mad about
I'm kind of like borderline like Slytherin and Gryffindor, but Gabe, I mean, all hell breaks loose when we play games together, and your true colors come forth, and you'll fucking stab people in the back. I mean, one time when we were like playing Halo in like high school,
I was like,
I remember-
this is not fair.
it? Come on,
I
bro.
forget the exact.
Everyone's a
analogy,
Slytherin when they're in high school.
But you said something like you'd kill your entire family in order to be happy or something crazy like that. And I was like, this dude's a fucking Slytherin. But, I mean, in reality, I kind of see you more as a Gryffindor. I think you're a strong-willed, brave person. But you do kind of... You're out for yourself, too.
Okay.
So it's a borderline. It's like
Yeah.
it's on the edge for me.
All right, and why
I
is
think
Matt?
I think that you'd be like on the stool and the hat was there. That he'd be asking you like, "Do you want to go in Slytherin or do you know?" It'd be you'd have to decide for yourself, and
That
that
sounded like
that
Hagrid.
yeah.
So why
No, I
is
think
Matt
of-
Ravenclaw?
Matt's very intellectual. Not that you aren't. Gabe.
I'm the college professor here, dude.
Yeah.
I know, but it's doesn't matter. I don't know.
All right, why is Matt Ravenclaw?
Matt's intellectual. He's always sought after knowledge. He's also very creative, which I also attribute to Ravenclaw.
Okay.
Matt's making a funny face.
Soy facing.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think Matt pursues knowledge in a really wholesome way, and always has, and it's like kind of a part of his personality, which I really find very Ravenclaw.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. Yeah, I mean that's like the overarching notion that I get from Matt, but also the addition of being a creative person and like soughting after that in Matt's life. Fucking true to heart Ravenclaw.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go. I think Paul. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you.
Fuck. Okay. All right. Well, as I exhale my jewel.
Please sponsor us.
No, this is getting real. Juul sponsor us. PBR sponsor us. I would rather be drinking you than the banquet beer right now. But you're missing it. You're missing the boat. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Spinecrackers is rising. Spinecrackers rise up. Paul,
Okay.
you for a lot of the time that I knew you, until recently, you were a Hufflepuff. Straight up. You were puffing it up.
Yeah.
Now, I want to say that's not only for bad reasons, because Hufflepuff is good also.
Yes.
You are one of the best friends that I could ever imagine. You're always
Hufflepuff
there.
quality.
You're always down to talk through issues for fucking 10 hours if you need to. You know?
Yep.
If I
Hufflepuff
call
quality.
you, I know you're picking the phone up. And you'll fucking sit there and talk to me for whatever about whatever for how long, you know? For however long. But you also did have some bad Hufflepuff qualities in the sense that you were not like, you know, not like, you know, assertive, I guess, in certain contexts, in certain
Yes.
ways. You know, I'm not going to get too deep in the details here. This is
You're
becoming,
talking about
this
a
is-
bad 6-year relationship I had. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, because you said it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Which also is the Hufflepuff.
This is what the listeners want right
This
now.
is what they want. If you listen, hey, Thelonious Drunk Books, I'm talking to you, buddy. If you skip this segment, you're not a real spine crack head right
You
now.
thought you didn't like the
Yeah.
hats
That's
segment,
right.
sorting hat segments. What are we talking about?
This is
drama
this
at
is,
this point.
is
Yeah.
drama and deep lore. So that is what I was talking about. But I'm not just saying it's Hufflepuff because you weren't asserting yourself, but it also is also Hufflepuff because loyalty. You were in that relationship and you were like, I'm doing it, I'm sticking it through.
I love how our personal Zoom calls are coming through in this episode. Like, yeah, you're in
1
a
year.
relationship.
You brought up the relationship, just for the record.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm gonna come around and say today, right now, 2021, Paul, Gryffindor, strong Gryffindor, because
Sick.
you are doing your own thing and you're doing it in the way you want, and you are. But it's not in a Slytherin way. It's not like, oh, I'm only out for myself or whatever. You're self-reflective and self-critical, and I think you're Gryffindor now.
Thank you. I agree wholeheartedly.
I think, and so Matt, I actually think, Paul, I think you're kind of right about the Ravenclaw thing. I think Matt's very wholesome. Matt's a very intellectually humble person, which frustrates me sometimes because I wish he was a little bit more willing to assert his views and like make claims about things without being like I think
I'm
I've
like
talked,
the ultimate centrist.
yeah,
Well, you're
Which I
don't know.
which is a little
You're a
Hufflepuff.
bunter.
You're a
No,
bunter.
it's not Hufflepuff.
He's
Yeah,
not. Yes.
Matt's a intellectual bunter. But
Yeah. A little bit.
oh, is that a foul ball?
Yeah, a little bit, which is, to me a little bit Hufflepuffy, because I know it's wrong, but like I do associate some like, timidity with Hufflepuff a little bit, rightly or wrongly.
Sure.
And I wish, because I think Matt is a brilliant person with a lot to say, and I think he gets in his head about saying it sometimes. Because I think I've talked about this I may have talked about this on the podcast before, or maybe this is just something we've discussed in private. But one of my favorite philosophers, Stanley Cavell, he always made this analogy. You know where I'm going with this, Matt. Mm-hmm. He always made this analogy about philosophers specifically, but I think it applies in a lot of intellectual domains. He said, there's basically two, there's not that there's two types of philosophers, but there's two common sort of tropes, especially in like young philosophy students. There's the Wittgenstein types who think they don't need to read anything and they're already the smartest person in the world and they can make claims and stake out positions without having read anything. And then there are the Heidegger people who think they need to read every word ever written by every philosopher on every topic before they're allowed to speak. And Cavell's position was both of those people are equally wrong. And I agree with that. And I think Matt, on almost every topic I've ever spoken to him about, is in the Heidegger camp. It is making the Heidegger mistake. And I want him to push himself to not do that anymore. So it's
Cavell doesn't say how much stuff you need to not have. I don't know.
but you think it's everything. That's the point. You think it's everything.
Yeah.
So it's Ravenclaw. It's Ravenclaw. It's like a Ravenclaw Hufflepuff soft serve ice cream swirl for Matt.
Whoa. Okay.
See, okay,
you're going inside out.
I'm gonna push back on that. I want to talk about Matt still. I think Matt leans more towards Slytherin. Actually, it's a Ravenclaw with like an ounce of Slytherin.
Ooh.
I would agree with Paul there.
What?
Yeah.
Well, there
Because
is.
I think Matt.
No. Wait, Matt does have Slytherin, but the Slytherin is the thin layer of chocolate dip coating that the ice cream goes in.
Yeah, that Draco Malfoy personally like washed through his mouth. No, Matt, you have some Slytherin qualities. I feel like when you want to do something, it's like I'm fucking doing that thing because that's what I want to enjoy right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad thing. It's just like it's a Slytherin quality, I would say.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
what we're
you
getting
agree.
at
Yeah.
is that this is very me. But that everyone's all the houses. A little bit.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, but you can't.
I'll play the
bring
game.
it-
I'll play the game.
You got to play the game. You got to play the
yeah.
game. Yeah.
All right. So, I totally agree with Gabe's assessment of you, Paul. I feel
Okay,
like
yeah.
you were more in the Hufflepuff Slytherin grouping,
Yeah, I agree with that too. Actually, yeah.
but that Slytherin tincture was coming out of the negative aspects of your Hufflepuffness. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, Freudian.
that's well
almost.
put.
But what I'm saying now is that because this is essentially glorified stupid person's astrology, which is saying a lot.
No. This is big
That's
brain.
totally what it is.
No,
It just is.
this is big brain, many wrinkles,
Yeah.
personality analysis.
Yeah, it's like, okay, but I feel like you're a sort of Hufflepuff rising, but like Slytherin is leaving the door frame. Yeah, or whatever. Is in retrograde.
I feel like the Ravenclaw part of you is in the room of requirement. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm too busy using the pensieve to like extract things out of my brain. I agree. I think you're becoming very Gryffindor.
Thank you.
Because you've had to deal with a lot that I have not had to deal with, and you are getting to know yourself in a intrepid manner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Gabriel, you are Ravenclaw Slytherin combo.
Okay.
I think you have the Slytherin tinge of like I would say a somewhat there's a sort of nihilism undergirding your perspective that creates an emphasis on what it is you'd like to do at any given moment, but at the same time there's like, and I think Ravenclaw is the larger house here for you. There's like an intense intellectual curiosity and like a fervor that I wish I had, right? You describing this kind of like waffling nature of myself, and likewise, but in distinction to myself, there's like this there's this certitude born of passion, but not just blind passion, but like having been inquiring for the duration of your thinking life, that is like incredibly impressive to me, and why I always defer to you when it comes to things like ethical quandaries or what the right move is to be made and all this kind of stuff. So Ravenclaw. And there's a hint of the Slytherin there.
Slytherin rising.
Which I think is the negative aspect of your version of Ravenclaw. Personally.
Good answer. Great answer, Matt. I will say that I wish mine was even half as long. My answer, it was half as long as Gabe's. But good answer for Gabe.
It's not about length, right?
No.
It's about how you use it.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah,
Also-
I kind of see that. I don't know. I still think of Gabe as like, I don't know. It's hard for me to like discount and pull out the Ravenclaw for Gabe, for real, because he is so intellectually inclined. But Gabe's personality for me has always been so strong that I only see it in terms of like strong Slytherin, strong Gryffindor, and I actually lean towards Gryffindor actually for Gabe.
So should we do? I think now we have to do ourselves.
Rate
right?
ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
I give Gabe a strong 3.7.
No, not rating. We have to put
I'm joking,
ourselves
I'm
in
joking.
houses. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what to do,
everyone
man.
gets-
I feel
everyone
like
gives-
it's
everyone
cringe.
gets a
Like, why
5.
would I put
Everyone gets a
myself in
5.
a fucking house? Like,
Well, because it's self crit, dude. It's self crit.
Well,
but
because
like
I've done,
what you all said was so much more valuable and probably correct than what I would just say.
it's a good metaphor for the podcast, right? Is that like to read a book and to criticize it by yourself is less valuable than two other
Yes.
people doing it
It's true.
along
Right.
with you.
So we're about
Yeah.
to do it by ourselves now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna revert to the countless Harry Potter quizzes or whatever I've done for Harry Pottermore or whatever. Ron, I don't give a shit.
Ron. Just
Ron Jeremy.
Just
Yeah.
Ron.
Ron.com.
Ron is actually the last Horcrux, and okay.
Ron.com.
I've always been in Gryffindor. I've always been there.
Wow.
And the last one I did was maybe like 6 months ago, and my Patronus was a dolphin. My wand was made out of the same. It was.
You're a
What was
fucking
it?
loser, dude.
I am a loser. I did it because a Tinder date was like, oh, do you want to do a Harry Potter house?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's so Hufflepuff. That's so Hufflepuff of you.
No, it's not. I
Pottermore.com.
wanted to have sex. That's not Hufflepuff. That's Slytherin as fuck, dude. Matt's assessment is correct. But my wand was 13 and 3/4 inches, and it was made out of unicorn wood or whatever. So I've always been in Gryffindor, and I think I'm a Gryffindor. I think I'm brave. I think I would fucking dive on. I think I would dive on a fucking out of loyalty, but also bravery. I would dive on a grenade for my friends Matt and Gabe. I would sacrifice their lives in war in World War II if we were there together. So that metaphor is right. It's like I'm loyal to my friends, but I'm also brave, and that's fucking Gryffindor, Hufflepuff. And,
All right.
yeah.
All right.
I'm actually Dumbledore.
That's good. All right. I'm gonna go next. Let me listen. I think you're both wrong. I think I'm a full Slytherin. No cap. No addendum. Slytherin without adjectives.
All right.
Really.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, if I had to be
think you're wrong.
well, because of course in the Sorting Hat scenario, you can't be in two houses at once. You go into one house, right? You can't be half of a house.
True.
You have to go into a house. And I think I feel pretty sure that I would be in Slytherin. And it's not for what Matt said that I'm some hedonistic pursue my own self-interest at all times. That's not true.
That's my form of Slytherin.
I'm actually a moral
That's my
realist. I
aspect.
think we have moral obligations that extend beyond our individual whims. Separate issue. But I do think there are some Slytherin qualities in me that I cannot deny. I'm ambitious. I want to be smart, and I want to be successful. Not necessarily like financially, but I want respect. I want this podcast to be successful. I love doing, promoting the pod, like, emailing celebrities and Sasha Grey, come on the show. I would love to be teaching at a fucking top tier university in my field and be respected by my peers. I have that. I do have that drive that is part of why I get up in the morning. That's undeniable. I do think maybe this is a bit of a modification of traditional Slytherin, where it's all about bloodlines and family. I do have a sort of like fierce a loyalty that's not like Hufflepuff, but kind of like a fierce, like, oh yeah, these are my friends, these are my fucking people, that's my family, and don't fuck with them. You know what I mean?
That rocks.
And so yeah, that's why I feel like I'm a Slytherin. I could see I think the Ravenclaw thing is tempting because I'm in academia, but I think that's kind of incidental. It's I happen to be passionate about becoming successful and respected within academia. But I think it's maybe reading too much into it to say that it puts me in Ravenclaw.
Well, this makes me wonder what Ravenclaw's. What are the things about Ravenclaw again?
I mean, it's like intellectual pursuit, I would say, is top.
Which I do. I mean, I do that. So I guess I can't deny that either. But I think if the Sorting Hat had to put me in one house, I think he would put me in Slytherin.
Okay.
Okay, let me look this up really quick.
That's Ravenclaw right there. You gotta look up. You gotta look it up.
Yeah.
Well, I'm about to put myself in it, and I need to look up what it's about. So I'm going to the fucking harrypotter.fandom.com. Yeah, traits.
I like this. I like this. Paul was always Gryffindor narrative. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, if I was 6 years old or whatever, 8 years old, and I was on the fucking stool, I would have been Gryffindor. I mean, sort of like who's that fucking kid in the book, in the movies that
Neville.
had Buck. Neville.
Yeah.
He has a lot of qualities of being a Hufflepuff. I would
It's true.
say.
It's true.
A pussy bitch.
No. Bleep. Bleep
that.
Bleep.
No, whatever the fuck.
That will
who
be
cares?
bleeped. But he comes around and he realizes, like, I'm a fucking sick, brave, awesome guy. And that's
true.
kind of my trajectory.
That is kind of your arc. That is kind of your arc. You do it.
Yeah.
You do kind of have a Neville Longbottom arc.
Yes. Oh, I did.
Yeah. All right, Matt.
I don't know, but I'm just gonna say Ravenclaw, because, like, there is this confirmation of there's like a competitiveness within the academic pursuit, but there's also within literally the wiki fandom fucking page, there's like this characterization of like people just kind of not they just aren't zealous, or not zealous, but like they're not willing to they're just kind of pulling their punches and like observing.
And that's why I'm Slytherin, is because the competitive aspect of the academic pursuit is a big part of what juices me up about it.
Right.
Well, obviously, because you can judge by our Discord capabilities.
Yeah, Gabe
and
could be
engagement.
such a legendary debate bro if he really wanted to.
That's fucking true. Destiny, come at me. Vosh, come at me. Let's go.
Yeah, for real. So I'll just say Gryffindor.
For yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Really?
it. Wait, I
Really?
thought you were
Why?
saying Ravenclaw. I thought you were leaning Ravenclaw.
Or I'm sorry. Fuck.
Oh,
no,
okay.
fuck.
I was like,
yeah,
damn,
Ravenclaw.
that sounds like
I
a
was
big
like,
shift.
what? That was a big fucking wrench.
Yeah.
in what
no.
we talked
I'm
about.
sorry. Ravenclaw.
Okay.
Well,
There you
All right,
go.
now ratings for each other. Ratings.
no, we're not gonna do that.
That's a little too dehumanizing.
No, me and my
everyone's
listen,
a 5. It doesn't
me
matter.
and my squad
True.
is all 5s. I roll with
All
5s.
5s.
I roll with 5s all day, top to bottom.
Me too.
You guys are all 5s, but
Easy
in my
clap.
mind, you're all dime pieces.
Yeah, that's right. We break the scale. We fucking break the scale, dude.
We went platinum years ago.
Well, listen.
I hope that was nice for everyone listening.
First of all, let's
the
get a round of
Thelonious show.
let's get a round of applause for all the people that ask questions.
Yeah, for real.
Yes.
They're
Dead
not
ass.
common.
Shout out to
Yeah,
all
fuck
of
yeah.
you. I hope we did your questions justice. All of them were very thoughtful and you know, interesting, and kind of like pushed us to think about topics that sometimes we don't ordinarily get to talk about. And we genuinely appreciate it. And shout outs to everyone that listens to the show, everyone that's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Obviously, shout outs to all the patrons. And you know, cheers to fucking 1 year, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Milestone, baby. Hey.
And we'll be around for a million more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will never die.
Spine
We're gonna live
crackers will
forever.
never die.
We're gonna read every single book of fiction that's ever been
written.
and eventually we'll get to the point where we're reading books that people are writing in real time.
We're reading books that have never.
1,000
We're
years.
reading books that haven't even been written yet.
We're looming
Yeah.
over the shoulder of writers
Thomas
1,000
Pynchon's
years from now.
grandson. It's like,
And we're just saying whatever they're writing down actively.
The
like God
shadow-
Emperor Dune.
The shadow
Yeah.
of the spine crackers is long, baby.
Yeah.
The shadow is long.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is no one probably cares about this, but I added Dune to the list.
Did you really?
I really did. I just
All
wrote
right.
Dune on the fucking Google Doc. Just Dune in bold.
Matt's favorite book.
Yes.
No, but
I mean, no, but
I like
but-
it.
our friend, our mutual friend, has read the first 3 in the last like 3 weeks, and I told you about him, Taylor.
Yep.
He wants to come on, and we're gonna read Dune
All right.
in 6
it's-
months.
It's on, dude.
Fucking
it's-
let's go.
It's fucking on.
yeah.
Yes,
You heard it
I'm
here
very
first.
Excited about that. It might be in
Dude.
time for the next movie to come out. It'll be like very, you know.
Well, and it'll make sense though, because the whole first book is 2 movies. So the second movie comes out, we will have read the first book. So it'll be
Yeah,
God willing, you know.
knock on wood.
I'm just saying I'm excited for the sci-fi elements of that book.
I'm expecting I think they might be okay.
Yeah.
They could be up there.
They're certainly there.
Yeah.
Maybe some Star Warsy type, you know.
I do
Yeah,
love
there's spaceships.
Yeah, space.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, listen. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was fun. I think we all had a blast.
Yeah.
We did. This was really fucking fun.
Didn't have to read a fucking
Didn't have to read a
fucking word of writing.
Stupid ass fucking paper log.
This is
Happy one year anniversary, Spine Crackers, and
Hey.
we'll see you next year and
To the fools.
and next week. Actually,
yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
It's not done now.
Back
Pulse
to
it
the
finale.
books.
yeah.
Hit the books.
Back
Hit the
to
books
pages.
and hit the showers and then hit the books.
Be clean and be reading. Bye.